7:01 p.m., April 13th, 2026. I'm going to call to order the West River Modified Union Education District Board of Directors meeting. This is a reorganizational meeting, and so I'm going to start by taking nominations for chair. Don't all jump at once. It's an exciting task to be chair.
I nominate Drew.
Crystal nominates Drew. Do we have a second?
Nominations don't
We don't need seconds.
Nominations don't need seconds.
No.
We have a nomination for Drew. Drew is
Drew's there.
nodding that he would accept if elected.
Yep.
He seems
My
reluctant.
last year on the board though, so next year I
There
will
you
not
go.
be accepting.
Do we have any other nominations? Hearing none?
Aye.
Oh, no.
Thank you. Yes. I'll nominate Joe.
We'll nominate Joe Winrich. No second is required. Joe, I'm looking at you. Sure. Nodding, yes, okay. So we have Drew and we have Joe as nominations. Do we have any other nominations? Ralph Mader is not in the house. Wow. No third
That's a
party
flashback.
Yeah, I'm old. All right, so since we're gonna have to vote this one out, let me see who is online. Looks like,
I have a question.
oh, question, sure.
I was hoping that we could hear from both of the both of the nominees about what they see the role of board chair as and how they would like to, the direction they would like to see the board move this year.
Everybody feel good about that? Yeah. All right. I just wanna make sure I have everyone, so I have Emily and Kate online, is that,
Sarah.
and Sarah Webb. Is that those are my online members, you got people on the Zoom, waiting, I'm still there.
Yeah.
3,
Zoom
4,
user.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All right, so we have 3, we get 8 and 3. Sure, Drew, you were nominated first, you wanna?
Sure, so, you know, my goal for this year is the same or similar to last year, transparency, trying to make sure that we engage the public as much as possible. We have as many conversations about the future education as we can, look at all the options, much like we started in our budget process this year, but really digging into things that have always been done and why they've been done, not necessarily to just keep doing the same thing, but to really be thoughtful about our work and making sure that we do that in a transparent way. That'd be my objective.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Winrich?
Sure. I think the role of the board chair is twofold, really. One, just the orderly conduct of the meetings, and then, like Drew said, the sort of the direction of the board. I think that what we've begun is a good thing. The transparency is valuable. The communication and the feedback with the public, especially, timely answers to emails and stuff like that. Not that we can do board business over email, but we can certainly acknowledge that we've received things. And I think we need to spend some real time focusing outward rather than inward. I think we're looking really hard at our own little silo in the West River Valley, and we need to really, really acknowledge what's going on in the state with education. People are talking about moving districts, moving SUs, moving whatever, and I'm pretty convinced that the answer to that is to go out and talk to our neighbors and talk to the people to the north and the south and all over the place, because the whole state is in this together, and the legislature is hearing not one voice, but a bunch of individual voices telling them what's best for them and not what's best for everybody. And I think that we can lead in that effort. Thanks.
Thank you. Good idea. Any other challenges or questions, process questions before we get to a vote? So I can stop running this meeting? Okay. So I guess let's see. I guess we'll start with how many votes do we have for Drew? How many yes votes for Drew? We'll start there.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And how many yes votes for Joe? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I see Emily, Kate, and Sarah is 6. So we're gonna do a roll call because the vote is split, so that, just to make sure we have the same, I think I captured it correctly, but just for our minutes. So, all in favor of Drew, signify by saying your name through the roll. Actually, let's do the roll call. So I'll just go Drew or Joe, down the line, Leanne,
Drew.
Crystal,
Drew.
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 Joe.
Joe,
Joe.
Emily,
Joe.
Kate,
Joe.
Sarah.
Joe.
All right, it appears a very close race. Joe has won 6-5 as our new chair, and I will turn the meeting over to Joe.
What if I don't want it?
You said you did earlier. There's no
Can't get out of
backing
it
out
now.
now.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so the next order of business is to elect the vice chair. Currently, Al is vice chair, right? Correct. Okay, I'll entertain nominations for vice chair.
I'll nominate Al. If he's willing to do it.
I'm willing.
He looks willing. Any other nominations for vice chair?
I guess I'll nominate Drew.
You willing?
Sure.
Okay. Ralph Nader now, right? Any other nominations? All right. So again, it's just all in favor of Al. Please raise your hand or say aye. Actually, just raise your hand so we can count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. I won't vote unless there's a tie. All in favor of Drew? Oh, great, there's a tie. Just for continuity, Al, I'll cast my vote for Al.
Are
Do
there
we-
any extra agendas, copies of the agenda?
Yes.
There was a stack over in that corner. Maybe they're gonna.
No, they were put actually right in front of you. Is there a pile right there somewhere?
I need more.
Here you go.
Thank you.
I always print one anyway, so. Okay, next is, next is the election for the clerk. You, Leanne, right now?
No,
No,
it was
Peter.
Peter.
It was Peter, okay, so it's totally
I-
vacant. So we need a clerk. I'll entertain nominations for a clerk.
I'll nominate Leanne. If you're willing.
Okay. Any other nominations? Seeing none. All in favor of Leanne, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. Congratulations. Okay, next would be to establish a meeting time and date and location. Currently it's second Monday here, 7 o'clock. Any discussion on changing that? I don't see any reason to. It's been.
Is there a reason we don't go to all different schools, just so we can be in the buildings and see the different schools?
We have done that in the past, and we can do it again. We sometimes ended up with like, wait, I thought the meeting was at Leland and Gray. People sometimes don't pay attention to that and they end up at the wrong place. But, I mean, we can do that. We can do that.
Just one fewer building to travel to.
Yeah,
So you have 3, you could alternate.
we can certainly do that. But still, it would be second Monday, 7 o'clock, and then place would be to be announced.
I would actually prefer if my own 2 cents is I would prefer if we did not alternate, particularly because 2 of the buildings happen to be in Townsend anyway. It's confusing to have different places, and I would be afraid that people would
That
have a
makes a
hard
lot of
time
sense.
getting there.
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Also, your Zoom capabilities, you would have to make sure you have the technology for the hybrid meetings.
I think every
We'd
school
make
does.
that, yeah, we'd make that happen, whatever. I don't.
Yeah, you just gotta make sure it works.
Kate's got her hand up.
Kate, I'm sorry. Thank you, Al.
I was just gonna say, maybe if we keep the meeting at Leland and Gray to address the concerns you raised, but make an effort to, plan ahead and move it once a month or once in a while. It would be nice to move, but with a lot of long lead time and a default predictable internet and meeting location.
Yes, Bob?
I was saying, when I was on the board in Dummerston, that every new year, the board was much smaller and there was only one building, but they actually did tours for the board prior to the first meeting of the year, and principal would kind of do a tour, so even the underbelly of the building kind of thing, so you kind of see out everything as you enter your year as a board member. So that's something, if you don't want to alternate, but you want to like set up a tour of Townsend, a tour of Newbrook, and a tour of Leland and Gray, you could do that in the beginning of the fall or in the spring or whatever, and incorporate that into like a 6 o'clock start maybe, and just do a tour and come back. Think about.
Yeah,
I like that idea.
yeah, I do too. Okay, so for now, yes, Crystal?
Can I just ask a question? Is the tour for the board members? So if we're familiar with all the schools, because we all do sporting events at the different schools, so like I'm pretty familiar with Newbrook. I'm pretty familiar with Jamaica from.
But have you seen
Canton.
Smuggler's Close?
I know Jamaica's closed,
3 verses.
but I'm just saying that
Right.
a lot of us
It was
are
optional, for sure.
familiar. So if that could be like optional.
Sure. Okay, so for now, it's second Monday, 7 o'clock, Leland and Gray, but we are gonna put some sort of a tour on the schedule, right? And we can talk about rotating with long lead time as well. So do we need a motion for that, or we just kind of set that?
Yeah, I think you should do,
Okay.
you could set all these things and do a motion for the slate of it all at the end, if you
Okay.
choose, I suppose.
That makes sense. Okay, so then the posting locations, those are currently,
So it's the town halls and the schools are where we currently do it.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we won't have a staff member at JVS after the end of the year, so it'll just be the town over there. But if there's another physical location that we could, I'm not sure how that would work, but
Post office, and I get it, and I'll just nail it to the wall.
95 DC style.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but typically we're meeting the 3 physical locations by statute, so we're covered regardless.
okay,
I have a question.
sure.
Is there any possibility that we could have, maybe at least on an informal basis, somebody from central office post it on Front Porch Forum so that it's out there with clickable links or at least directions to the clickable links for the people who maybe aren't as.
It goes with town of residency, so if they don't live in the town, they're not gonna be able, like, I have Front Porch Forum for Townsend, but I couldn't post on the Newfane
I
forum
see.
because they're separate. So I would suggest a board member from each town post on Front Porch Forum for your Front
We
Porch
could do it on
Forum.
the SU Facebook page.
You can actually post to other, so I'm, the Townsend and.
You can?
Yes, Townsend and Newfane are the same. Brookline, for some reason, has their own. But you can say, I would like this posted to other, and you can say, I post it to Jamaica, I can post it to other ones. So you can do that in one fell
Okay.
swoop.
I don't know if you could always do that, cause I remember trying,
You
Yeah.
didn't used to.
having somebody else have
It's
to
been an
post it for
update
me.
that they've done.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I post stuff.
I mean, I can ask Nicole if she can figure that out,
Yeah,
if that's what you want to do.
sure, ask her. Okay,
So all 5 towns, in essence, is what we'd be looking to do.
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay.
So the next thing would be to affirm the operating rules. We use Robert's rules for small boards. If we change it to something else, I'm in a lot of trouble. Anyone want to discuss that?
Is there others?
Oh, there is.
I don't know off the top of my head, but there are.
Masons is what the legislature uses.
Yeah,
Mason's manual.
Yeah.
Go with what we
You-
know.
You do not want to do Mason's manual. You want to stick with
Thanks, yeah, we'll continue with Robert's rules for small boards. We need to appoint the chair to sign on behalf of the board. That can be, we can lump all of these in, right? Or should we do that one as separate?
I mean, well, depends. The motion could be, you could do it each separate. It doesn't, they're all,
I wanna do them all together, just adopt the slate.
seems like you could, I don't know.
Okay. We need to appoint a couple of members to sign pay warrants. That's currently Dana and me. Fiona, did you want to volunteer to do that?
It's not difficult, Fiona.
It isn't.
Just
It's time.
It takes time.
It's time.
Yeah.
That's all it
The
is.
doc hub, and you can see everything, and. No.
I'm certainly
I
willing to
can't
continue,
convince
Dana.
Yeah, I'll continue.
If anybody wants to go do this, please volunteer and one of us will step back, but I mean, I'm happy to do it.
I'll do it. It's like balancing your checkbook.
Okay, you and me, Dana. Okay, membership on the SU board. There are 6 seats from this board on the SU board. Traditionally, it has been the officers and 3 other people. I'm happy to continue that the way it is as an officer. I can't speak for Al and Leanne. So Crystal,
I would like to appoint Fiona. Is that for the WCSU board?
yes,
I would like to appoint Fiona.
you want the job?
Sure.
Okay, that's 1. We need 2 more other than the officers. Yes, Drew?
I'd like
I'd be
to-
happy to continue.
All right, we got Emily and Drew. That's 6 if all the officers
Drew's
go.
currently on.
Right.
Yep.
Is anybody else interested?
I can.
I mean, I'm on it, I don't mind staying, but I wanted to make sure Fiona got a seat.
I can.
Anybody want? I mean, I'm happy to stay. Traditionally, the chair of the board serves on that board and then is part of the executive committee as well. So I'll stay. You staying?
That's fine.
You want to stay? Sure. Okay, so it's the 3 of us and then 3 more. So
Fiona,
we
Drew,
have
Emily.
Fiona, Drew, and
Emily.
Emily. If anybody else wants to get on, we can have an election, I guess.
No.
Okay.
Leanne?
Just one clarifying question. Can we still do the thing where if we know we can't make a meeting and we have one of our regular meetings before then, where we can nominate an alternate or assign an
You
alternate?
can actually assign an alternate right now for the year, and
Okay.
have that person be the alternate, ready to go, but you just have, whoever isn't gonna make it has to communicate with that person,
Okay.
to make sure that they're ready.
Is it okay if we give that to Crystal since she was interested in being on?
Sounds good.
I have no objection.
I'll be here.
I'm gonna say.
Yes, Emily?
That surprises me. We never used to be able to do that.
Yeah, Wyndham did that, and when Rich had a conversation with their chair about having other members of the board as a backup in case the board couldn't come, as long as they did that in public session and named the person that they could do it.
Right, but I didn't, I mean, I know you can always appoint an alternate if someone can't come, but I didn't know you could just have a permanent alternate in case. It wasn't something we could ever do in the past. The rules may have changed, so.
That's what Rich told me, I was just going by that, so I could be wrong. He could be
Joe,
wrong.
you're on the VSBA board. You would know better than anybody, probably.
I have not heard that you can or you can't. I'll for tonight we'll make Willie Crystal the alternate, and then if we find out that we can't have a standing alternate, we will undo that.
And did you say the alternate has to be named prior to the meeting at a public
If
meeting?
you're not going to make it, you need to be in touch with Crystal and send her as the alternate.
Okay, but I don't need to do that at the meeting prior.
No, it
Okay,
doesn't have to
got
be.
Unless we find out otherwise, yeah.
Yeah, unless we find out otherwise. But
Got
I
it.
would just shoot her an email or get in touch with her and then let me know or let the chair know, and then, we're good to go.
Sounds prudent.
Okay, established committees. We have had a budget committee pretty much, and that's been very helpful. Excuse me. We have a policy committee. I know there are multiple policies that are past their 5 years and need to be reviewed again. They're on tonight's agenda. So we need those 2 committees. Volunteers for the budget committee? Drew?
I was on it.
How often does the budget committee meet?
We're trying to do it more regularly. We met 4 or 5 times, 4 times, we went over the previous budget. So 4 or 5 times, I'm hoping we're gonna have one in the near future to review the end of this fiscal year, but it's during budget time that we meet multiple times as we come up with what we're presenting to the board.
I'd be happy to do that.
So Drew, Fiona, Al, Emily, anyone else? Is 4 enough, Heidi?
Yeah, I think it's been
Yeah.
typically 4 or 5, yeah.
It's more than
And policy.
enough. Should get more. Good. Cool.
Peter was the chair of the policy committee, right?
Yes.
No,
Oh, he was.
he was?
I think he was.
I thought you were.
Oh, maybe I was,
Are
I
you
don't
chair?
know. I was at one point, but I thought Peter was most recently.
I thought Peter was too.
I think Peter was most recently,
Okay,
Yeah.
and since
but he
Peter's,
is not here.
since he's no longer with us.
I'm content.
He's with us.
Wow.
He's with us, he's just not on the board anymore.
He's no longer with us here.
But he's okay, he's well.
He's fine.
He's
Yeah, we don't want to
spirit.
start any nasty.
Thank you for
Right.
clarifying
Yeah.
on camera.
Okay, so it's Lindsay, and then anyone else, policy committee?
Don't leave me hanging.
I'll do it.
Oh, Crystal and Dana?
Yeah, something new.
Anyone else interested in policy?
I can
No,
join.
Kate.
Ah,
Kate.
Hey.
Kate, not Leanne.
Thank you, Kate.
You're like, oh.
Fresh
not Leanne.
policy
Kate
eyes.
wants to get.
All right, newspaper of record, currently the Commons and the Reformer, right?
Yep.
Anyone want to change that? And the Truant Officer is the Wyndham County Sheriff?
You got it.
Okay. In your packet should be a VSBA Code of Ethics for you to review and sign. If you want to discuss it before we, you need one? Because you didn't get a packet? I can always get it.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think we've signed this every year I've been on the board. It just basically deals with some of the conflict of interest that could come up as a
That's
board
it,
member. You know, we agree to uphold the highest ethical standards.
That's it all. Thank you.
Joe, do you want me to review the slate that you guys have just written down? before you
Sure.
vote on that? Or-
So, yeah, if you review the slate, then we can have a motion to approve
yeah.
the slate.
So I have Joe as, well, Joe, I guess the officers are already elected, so, we have established meeting time, date, and location, second Monday, 7 p.m. at Leland and Gray, with possibility of tours of buildings and possibility of a shift, in the future with discussion. I have posting locations, the normal ones we've been using, plus, looking into whether Nicole can get into front porch forum for all 5 towns. Obviously, our website is also on there as well, and a physical one outside our office too. Affirming Robert's rules, affirming that the chair will sign on behalf of the board, Dana and Joe continuing as signing pay awards, the 6 SU board members, Joe, Al, Leanne, Emily, Drew, Fiona, with Crystal as alternate. I have a budget committee of Drew, Fiona, Emily, Al, and a policy committee of Lindsay, Dana, Crystal, and Kate. I have the Commons and Reformer. I have the Wyndham County Sheriff's Department and your VSBA Code of Ethics. Does that sound right?
It does. You just need a motion to adopt all that.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion on any of those points? Beautiful. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you.
Who is the, I have Drew, Fiona, and Al for the budget committee,
Also Emily.
and Emily. Thank you.
Man. Like, board norms. I cannot recite them from memory anymore. It's been so long since I've shared a meeting. I know we're gonna respect the agenda and each other, which includes staying on topic and trying to stay on time. Beyond that,
Mr. Chair, get them for you.
can you? And we will have them printed across the top of the agenda at the next meeting. And, perhaps, if we manage a retreat this summer, we can look and make sure that those are still actually the right norms that we have. We developed those a very long time ago at a summer retreat. Do we have any changes to tonight's agenda?
Can I ask a question about norms?
Sure.
Do we have any norms about how we communicate with the public?
No, the norms were developed really just as internal board norms.
Meeting norms.
Meeting norms. There is nothing about communicating with the public.
I would like to have some norms related to how we respond to emails and the understanding of the public in how we communicate with them, because I think that has become an issue with people that are corresponding with us.
Right, board communication, emails should be directed, they can be directed to the board, but the board emails should be responded to by the chair, and just really the only thing you're gonna get back in an email response is that we've received it and it'll be added to the agenda. And then the board would discuss it, because the board speaks as a board in a warned meeting, not over email back and forth.
Would you like me to read the board?
Sure.
All right.
These
So
are
there-
the norms we have now.
Yes, there are 5 main points. First one is maintain our focus, stay focused on the students, community, and stakeholders. Decisions are made in alignment with the board's vision. Keep meetings goal-oriented. That's number 1. Communicate respectfully, practice active listening, cultivate opportunities for all members to contribute, value and respect other opinions. That's number 2. Be present, be prepared for all meetings and arrive on time. Be engaged during meetings and ask questions, attend all meetings. 4th, keep the board productive and effective. After a healthy discourse where all voices are respectfully heard, move forward with decisions made by the board, whether you support those decisions or not. Be dedicated to the work and goals of the board. And finally, respect the agenda, keep to the topics on the agenda and work plan, start and end on time, practice flexibility and responsiveness for the public. Those are the 5. I can get
Thanks.
those to you.
I think I could probably
Probably,
find them.
yeah.
But yeah, we can work on some more. Crystal?
Can I just, so when we get correspondence, if you're responding, can you either do reply to all or just say, I've responded? Because when I see correspondence and like no response that anybody's responded, I'm like, has anybody responded? So I generally say, I've seen your email, thank you. And I don't know if we're supposed to do that, but
Sure, I can copy everybody on received and add it to the agenda.
yeah, just so we all know that somebody
Yeah.
has responded.
We just have to be really careful. Hang on one second. Emily's got her hand up and you got your hand up. And we just have to be really careful because we cannot conduct board business over email. There can't be any back and forth between board members or voicing of an opinion or anything like that. It's got to be really business. Emily, go ahead.
Thank you. I really appreciate this conversation because I think it's super important that we do have a process that is clear and in place for how we handle correspondence. And you said what I was going to say, Joe, about we should have one person, and that really, unless you don't want to do it, that really should be the chair who acknowledges the receipt and explains the process. And we can take them up. We can decide however we want, but we have to be really careful that we're not responding as a group, as a board, or as a quorum even. Doesn't even have to be the full board. If it's 6 of us, we're a board. And so I just want to make sure that we are really clear as a board on how our communication process is, because I want to make sure that people's voices are heard and they feel welcome, and that their voices are welcome in this work that we're doing. So I appreciate Fiona bringing it up.
Thanks, Emily. Lizzie.
Just as clarification, knowing that we cannot respond as a board or a quorum of any sort, That does not stop any one person from talking to their constituents at any time about anything they think that somebody wants to talk about. You are, as a board member, are allowed to talk to people. You are just talking to people, right? You are not the board when you talk to people.
You talking about grocery store conversations, or email discourse back and forth?
Either way, doesn't matter.
In either way, use your personal email. And if you're using your WyndhamCentralBoard.org email, that's your board email. That gives it that board weight. Use lindsay@gmail.com. Have all the conversations you want.
So as a board member, I can't say like, I am a board member and I am concerned about what you have to say. I would like to hear I would like clarification. I would like to know exactly what your concern is. I'm gonna have a one-on-one as me as a board member with Mr. Winrick, who is a resident of Townsend and has concerns about what's going on in the school. And am I not allowed to email that person back and forth one-on-one with, I mean, I don't understand why that's different than the grocery store. I guess if I'm not allowed to do that, I need to know.
Well, I'm not actually sure, and I'm gonna check.
Okay.
Because, part of the whole thing with the separate board email is that, that anything you say on that is 100% public record.
Of course, yes, absolutely.
So that's discoverable, that's public record.
Absolutely.
If you're having these conversations with constituents, whatever, I don't figure if I'm talking to somebody in the grocery store, that's necessarily discoverable. That's just hearing what they have to say. And 90% of that is listening.
Of course.
That's not a lot of back and forth. That's just mostly, I hear you. Got it. Thank you. That email doesn't seem more like listening as much as, writing it down and saying it back and forth. But I don't want to get off, I don't want to get off the agenda and I made a note to put board communication on here and we can go into this as an agenda item. But, we have a bunch of stuff and the students' report is next and, you want to have the last word on this, Fiona?
Well, if we can have a full conversation about this later as an agenda item, not today, but at the next meeting, I don't have anything else to say. As long as it's on there.
Thanks. I think we need to, just for clarity.
That would be helpful. Thank you.
Sorry?
I was just gonna say, did Bob ever make a change to the agenda?
Yeah, we haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, I'm sorry, you have a change to the agenda.
Addition,
What you got?
Green Mountain Power poll request. They have rescinded their earlier request, which was the middle of the lawn, and have another one. Greg is
Okay.
online, we'll talk about this at some point.
So, new business?
Yeah.
All right, we'll add item 8,
Joe,
GMP power.
Joe,
Yes,
this is Greg. Hey, could I just do that when I do the other part about the HVAC? Is what I was thinking.
sure,
Does that work for you?
sure.
All right.
As long as it doesn't make it really, really long.
I'll do my best.
All right, cool. Any other changes to the agenda? I'm sorry. All right, students, what do you got for us?
Okay. Intensives, back on the topic of intensives. This Friday, April 17th, is the intensive showcase from 9 a.m. to noon, and the whole board is invited, and we'd really enjoy if you guys could come and see what all of this talk of intensives is actually about and what the students have been doing. When you arrive, you can check in at the office. It's a really fun way to show what we've been learning and what we've been doing outside of school.
And then some exciting news, spring sports have begun, so baseball, softball, track and field, ultimate disc. Baseball and softball have their first home game and I think their first official game ever tomorrow at 4:30, so come out and support. And then as well as the track and field, they have their first meet tomorrow at BBA. I think it's 1:30?
No, 3:30.
3:30. So many times, so many things going on. And then the first ultimate game is the 18th and it's home versus Brattleboro.
Yes. The theater program performed at the Latches Theater last Tuesday. We also hosted the regional festival, which we won, which was very exciting. We got to move on to states, which was in St. Albans, Vermont, and we went this past weekend. And unfortunately, we didn't move on, but it was an amazing experience, and yeah, it was awesome.
And a bunch of them won awards.
Yeah, we all won awards,
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah, and then April 8th, the band and chorus had their spring concert, and it was funny. I was talking to a staff member that was at the concert, and they were like, you can tell that they have 80 minutes a day instead of 35 minutes a day, because they're doing really well, and they're developing the program really well.
Yeah. Honor Society Student Council today released their applications for this year. We're changing it. There will be 3 reps per grade instead of 2 reps per grade. And officers will be elected within the group rather than within the whole school, so that the people who are with them and making decisions with them can really have a say on what's going on.
Yeah, we're aiming so that they like respect their leader, and we actually find some leadership rather than it being a popularity contest, which has been in the past.
Yes. We should know by May who our class representatives are. The National Honor Society, anything?
National Honor Society is still working on their alumni panel for May 22nd. So again, any alumni is interested, reach out. And then Wednesday we have a college fair, so a bunch of colleges and local businesses and such will be there, so that kids can like figure out career paths and such. And then last week, this was really cool, the LNG Positive Action Team, which is I think hosted by like Western Valley Thrives. They traveled to the State House for Prevention Day, and they got to be involved in all of those activities and conversations.
Yeah. Another thing, prom.
Oh yeah.
We always forget about that, but prom is coming up. It's May 16th. At the new, is it at the new thing?
Yes, it is at the
Okay,
new
good.
Penn Union Hall. I don't know what that last meeting was about.
But yeah, the students are excited about that.
So it's been confirmed.
Yes.
We
I was
called.
very nervous when I heard that.
We called them and we were terrified that we didn't have a venue after all of this venue drama. And they're like, "Oh no, you're good."
Spring break is next week, so the students are also excited to not be in school.
No, they're excited for a break, not
Yes.
for not being in school.
Yes. And yeah, that's it from us. Oh, I did have a question. Am I allowed to ask a question?
Absolutely.
There's talk about us being able to do more things on the board next year.
There is.
What
Well,
does that
they-
consist of?
Well, there's legislation to allow student board members to vote.
Yeah, I'm happy to speak to that. Actually, I was going to raise my hand. I was going to raise my hand, but I appreciate the opportunity. We actually even have it on our agenda this week. It did not make crossover. That doesn't mean that it's dead, and we're taking testimony on it this week. In fact, I think tomorrow we take testimony on it. And I just wanted to say, first of all, how grateful I am that we've been doing this for years, having students on our board and listening to the feedback and engaging with you two tonight and at the last meeting. It's been really wonderful, and I've been able to talk it up big time in the House Education Committee. There's a lot of interest in doing this, and I'm in support of this. But we have someone coming from the Education Commission on the States, the policy analyst. Tomorrow is coming from Education Commission on the States, of which where the legislature is a member of, and we're going to get feedback from them too. So stay tuned, and if anyone's interested in watching, we're taking testimony tomorrow at 1:45 in the afternoon. If anybody wants to watch it, we stream those testimony live in our committee. So thank you for asking about it, and thank you for participating. I love talking you guys up.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for these guys? I just have one. The intensive thing from 9 to 12 for
Yeah.
those of us with day jobs. Is it a 3-hour thing, or is
No.
it just
No.
pop in and check
it's
it
a
out?
pop in. Each intensive has its own stand, so you can pop to a few stands, and like it's posters and slideshows and students talking about what they experienced and what they learned while being able to be at these intensives. So it's more of a walk around and learn instead of a 3-hour long thing that you have to stay for.
Okay, thought so, but wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Thanks, Fiona.
Are kids from the elementary school coming up to see this?
I'm actually not sure. Although that would be like a great
It
idea.
would be really great for them to see.
I know
Yeah.
I know in the past they have when instead of intensives when we did project based learning PBL, I know that a few grades came and saw.
Yeah.
I actually might talk to Laura about that tomorrow and see what she thinks.
We have been invited. It is kind of hard in the middle of the day like that to busing and things, and it's the day before break, so I didn't think that we were gonna be able to come from Newbrook.
In the past, last year when I was there, the Townsend 5th grade students came. And it was also a nice way for them to whet their appetite and get a little glimpse at Leland Gray.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, public comment. Member of the public here? You have a comment?
I have a couple comments from, hi, I'm Kaya Dowley, I'm from Newfane. There was one thing that from last week's thing that they were talking about, like the tuition that I know it's for later and I can't be in here for that, but I think it was a 5th grader going into 6th grade that was trying to stay at Wardsboro rather than coming to the Leland and Gray for 6th grade. And my only thought was that is I know I've heard many times throughout like the different school things in our district and everything's trying to be more equity versus equality and like everyone having the same awesome opportunities. And I do believe that Wardsboro does key weight in 6th grade versus 5th grade, which the rest of the district does. And I wanted that to be thought of when you guys are voting on that later, just because that could be something that makes a big difference in that child's education and their experience, because if they're coming here in 7th grade joining everyone that has already done it, or if they're coming here in 6th grade and they completely missed out on that amazing opportunity. So I just wanted my thought on that, I wanted to say. And then something that I was thinking about after last week's meeting was that, like, I know I've seen recently, like, a lot of different groups of jobs do different strikes and things for, like, pay raises and things like that when they're not getting treated fairly as a whole, and like the unions strike for different things. And I thought it was kind of interesting on how, like, when we look at our budget or looking at the budget and how there are certain things that are just automatically, yes, we're gonna do this, and then we're like, oh, but we have to take away these. And it was interesting that on a budget that people aren't able to vote on, the public mainly, that everything gets passed, but when we have public voting on something, they say no to it because they think they're voting this. And it just made me think of, like, if we weren't able to provide our students with certain arts in their programs, like cutting out librarians and music programs and other specials and things like that, yet we have our administrative staffs and other staffs that are getting, pay raises every year. It's just interesting that why can't we pause those pay raises every year in order to give our children what they need? Because if we can keep the librarians, keep the music program going amazingly as we saw on Wednesday, and we just don't give these people up here who are already making a lot, why give them an extra raise every year if we can keep our programs going for our students? And I know that comes down to, oh, well, I earned this raise, I've been working here for so long, but it's like, yeah, well, why can't you take a break and allow our students to continue getting what they need, rather than increasing something that is already above everybody else? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone on the Zoom here to comment on something? I don't see any hands. Okay. All right, so the budget vote, it went down. I've heard bunches. I'm sure every board member's heard lots from their constituents about why and what and all of that. So the question for us is, what do we do next? I'm open to suggestion. What have you heard? What should we do? I've heard a lot. Go ahead.
I've heard a lot of people saying that they voted down the budget because of how the SU budget was voted on.
Okay, so
And
we
so-
can't do anything
but-
about that, though.
Well, I understand that. And I actually think we can do something about that. I know that is a different budget than this budget, but as members of this board, we could ask for that budget to be reopened. I also feel like hearing what people who have talked to us say is not representative of our constituents. I would think we would want to get some more information before we decided how to proceed. And I think creating a survey, a digital survey that is sent out on Front Porch Forum, that is posted, that is sent out by all of the principals to all of the families to get information. It would be helpful to know if people voted yes or no and why. How many people did not vote? I've heard lots of people say that they didn't even know the vote was happening. So there's lots of things, but I think we can't do anything until we get more information. And I don't know if that's something that we could create and send out in a timely manner.
I'm not sure we can advocate our duty as elected representatives is to represent our constituents. I don't think we can then govern by survey. We can have conversations, we can hold public meetings. I'm not sure we can just start making Front Porch Forum posts or Facebook posts saying, what do you think? Weigh in here. And there's
How
a
is that
question
not-
of how reliable those are because only certain groups of people, only certain people will answer those. People, you can phrase questions to make them come out one way or another. I'm happy to ask somebody to reopen, I'm happy to try and reopen the SU budget, but their next meeting is in May.
Can't they be asked, like we have special meetings, can't they be asked to meet in light of this?
We can ask, they can say no.
But we could ask.
And then whether they have an appetite to cut, who knows? They did cut $500,000 out of the MTSS budget already and did a pretty good job of explaining that, but there was nobody there public to hear that. I think I've actually heard that there's a lot of misconception about that they didn't make any cuts, and well, they did, just we didn't publicize it. We've pointed the finger at with our inability to lower the budget. We've said, well, there's the villain, and shifted the blame. And when really the blame belongs with the entire system. The entire state education system is a mess. Emily, one sec.
Kate Sands was up first.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't.
Go ahead, Emily. Go ahead, and I'll follow you.
Okay, if you're sure. I just wanted to say, I'm super concerned about time on this. We vote in April. There's a 30 to 40 day warning period. The next SU meeting is May, I think. And we really must have not only time for the warning of our budget, the prep of our budget, the decisions we need to make around our budget, and then our warning period, and then time for a petition for a recount, which I think is 15 days, or revote or recount, depending on the outcome. I'm super worried about that timeline, that we're short of time. And I also wanted to just acknowledge or ask, I guess I should say, when a budget goes down, we must change the budget and it has to come back, and it's got to come back with some cuts to it. A reduction is my understanding. So I want to get clear. I want the board to be clear on what our process is here and our timeline, because we're short of time. We have to have a budget in place by the 30th of June.
You might be able to answer a
One
couple of
sec.
those questions.
You want to hear from Kate first, and then go ahead, Kate, and then we'll hear from Bob.
Thanks. Emily touched on some of this. I think I'd love to have us take a step back and clarify. So maybe everyone already is, but I was hoping we'd have a little briefing on the next steps in the process, the timeline and the legal obligations, and the consequences. And I think that should that will shape our strategy. I don't know if you feel it's appropriate or it's kind of too much hearsay, but I would be interested in hearing a little bit about what folks are hearing. For me, it's a different approach if it's a protest vote against the SU budget and whether that's doable or whether it's a vote about our specific budget when we think about what we need to tell people, how we need to have meetings or not, versus if we actually need to cut more. If people are, I'd like to hear a bit more before we go in saying we must cut in response to this vote, if you all are comfortable sharing kind of what you've heard.
Thanks, Kate. Go ahead, Bob.
Just to give you the legal, a little bit of background. So with an Australian ballot budget, if it gets rejected, so 17 VSA 2680, section C2, the legislative body shall prepare a revised budget. It doesn't say up or down, just revise. So you do have to revise it. And then the second point, as far as notice goes, there is a shortened notice on second and further votes. That you have to have, from the date of the warning, you have to have a 5-day span before you can do your informational meeting, and your vote has to be at least 7 days following the notice. So really your span is, a week and a half.
Okay.
So it's you can move at it a lot quicker once you know what you're doing. If you don't have a budget passed after numerous tries, let's say, or you stretch it out by July 1, the statute does say that you start the new fiscal year operating with an 87% of your previous year's budget until such time that the budget is passed.
Okay.
So a different budget is passed, I should say.
Thanks, Heidi. Or thanks, Bob. Heidi, you want to add to that?
I just would like to bring this back to finances for a moment, because I think it's really important to think about how much you feel like you need to cut to get a voter approved budget. I think it's important for you to know that 60,000 is a penny on the tax rate. So when you're looking at the tax consequences and you're looking at the bottom number, I think you need to think about what that means. So I took a few minutes after my grant conference today to consider the fact that we might have another 200,000 in the MTSS budget to help reduce that a little further. That is gonna fall down.
From where?
From the MTSS expenses. Some of the expenses, like the academic support staff that go into the grant, more of it can be funded with the additional grant funds that come through.
So if the feds come through with more money.
Right, and today, they said it should be flat funded. I mean, at the last minute, they took it away. But anyways, the impact of your budget would potentially be a reduction of around 110,000. That reduces your assessment by that amount, and is not quite 2 cents on your tax rate. So I hear what you're saying about the SU budget and the MTSS budget, and I did bring another copy of the breakdown of the general fund budget from the Wyndham Central Board to show you numbers again and remind you that transportation and your professional development are all part of the assessment that you pay to the SU that you could put in your own budget if it wasn't at an SU level. I think what you need to really think about is how much money do you think it's going to take to reduce your budget to get voter approval? If it's $400,000, that means potentially if you got the SU budget opened again, you're talking about 800,000 of a reduction, which is, I mean, most of that is special education and academic support, right? The general fund budget essentially has 10 people in it. So you're not gonna get that kind of savings because you would have no office staff to do what has to be done for your school districts. So it's, instead of necessarily doing the blame game right now, I think what you need to actually think about is financially, what are the voters looking at? Are they looking at the number? Are they looking at the tax rate? Are they looking at, how much you've gone up from last year? That I think is what really matters. And that's just what I wanted to put out there so that we can focus on that, given the time constraints.
Thanks. Dan?
This is just feedback that I've heard from the people that I communicate with. It wasn't necessarily a dollar figure for the reason that they voted down the budget. A lot of it was directed at the SU budget. The timing with the special ed cuts and the article in the Reformer, that jilted some people. The lack of transparency in the development and going through the SU budget was another part of it. The length of time from when it was presented to the public till the time it was adopted by the SU board was rushed and didn't give the public any time to scrutinize or ask questions. There's been people that mentioned how come it's not brought back to the individual boards to discuss first.
Which it has been that same procedure.
I know.
So, I don't think that we were trying to push something.
No.
It's been the same procedure. So.
It has been the same. The spotlight's different.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of it isn't necessarily what money's being spent, but what it's being spent on. There was a range of specifics on that, so I don't have any real feedback that way, but it wasn't necessarily a bottom line dollar amount from what I've heard.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Go ahead, Kristen.
So kind of mimicking what Leanne said. And I've thought can this board fix that? My personal opinion is no, because you guys did the cuts. We were asked to put them back in the budget. All the feedback I've gotten is the SU budget, the special ed cuts, which are out of our control. And I guess my concern is that our budget was voted no, and it's we're gonna have to cut more, which means those cuts that originally they were upset about and asked us to put back in, does that mean we now take them out? Where do we go from here?
True.
So I think it's there's a combination of things. We have spent a lot of time looking at our own budget and what we need to cut out of our own budget. I don't think that the way the SU budget was produced and presented to the board, and I objected at the time, and I still object with how that was handled. I think that has a lot to do with why people could be upset with that. So I'd like to make a motion that our board request a special meeting of the WCSU to open that budget and reduce our assessment. I'm gonna stop there and not put a dollar amount on it, because I think that would be a little bit harder, but that is my motion, that we request a special meeting, not waiting till May, so that we can take part of what we need to do out of that budget and maybe ease the burden on what we have to do with our own budget. So my motion to request a special meeting to reduce the WCSU budget.
That's it.
You second? Okay, there's a second. Crystal. Further discussion? Dana?
A lot of our constituents feel that the SU is like an upside down triangle. It's top heavy. Paid a lot more money than probably what it's worth. That's what me and Drew here in Jamaica. I don't think we cut any more out of our budget. I'm ready to say add to it. Put the programs back in, just out of sheer Really, I don't care about the threshold anymore. I'm worried about these kids and their programming. I mean, if you want to be top heavy, I'll go for it. But you got, yeah, very adamant about it. Very upset.
So the things that I have heard, almost every person that I spoke with or that emailed or messaged me privately, that I bumped into in the grocery store, or that flagged me down in the parking lot. Almost every one of them expressed concern at feeling like the SU budget was top-heavy, and that they did not get they did not have the opportunity to vote on the SU budget, and this was their opportunity to vote on that. So I heard that a lot. I also heard concerns about making cuts, programmatic cuts, while asking for additional administration. That was a really big problem for a lot of people that I talked to. There was some people that voted no because they could not get into the informational meeting, and because that link was not working well, they felt uninformed, and so voted no because they felt uninformed about it.
Wasn't the informational meeting the week before?
You
mean the annual meeting?
I mean the annual meeting, sorry, yeah, that is what it
The
was.
link for the informational meeting.
Yeah, it was the annual meeting, yeah, sorry, I misspoke. And then I did hear from a handful of people that felt like they needed to vote no on our budget because they felt like the board wasn't hearing their concerns, and they didn't have another way to express their frustrations with that. So, but almost exclusively, I'm trying to remember if anybody did not mention the SU budget being a very strong concern, and I can't think of an opportunity that wasn't expressed to me, so that's what I heard.
Okay. Emily?
So that wasn't my experience. I heard quite a bit of feedback that was more surprise and what happened, and I didn't vote, and I should have voted. I'm so sorry. I didn't hear not one person reached out to me about the SU budget, and I mean it was clear to me that there was a growing concern about the SU budget. I guess I also want to just mention the SU budget. It is a system, an SU, and the way we vote on the budget, and I mean supervisor union. And it's important that we understand this. The supervisor union has a process by law that we need to do to vote on the budget. A supervisory district does it differently. And the supervisory union means that you vote on the supervisory union budget and incorporate that into your individual school budgets, school district budgets. And that's the process we have to go through every year. There's a pushback. I think that some of the pushback is being generated, and I am hearing this, by the work that is happening in this legislature right now, and the frustration with high property tax rates. I have heard that, and I've heard that many times, that our property tax rates are too high. And I've also heard a whole lot of feedback about frustration with the path that the legislature is taking, and unhappy that consolidation is supposedly the answer, and there's a lot of frustration about that. So that's the kind of feedback I've been hearing, and I think it's just really important. I actually, just before I turn it back to you, I can't support asking for the SU to reopen the budget. I would have to vote no on the motion. And the main reason is not because I don't think that that's a worthy topic. I think the timeline is off. I think we're signing employment contracts, and we have multiple other school districts in the SU that are relying on this SU budget. And the time for us as board members and community members is during the process of the budget at the SU level. We do it the same every year. And at the last meeting, even though I didn't attend it, I wasn't able to be there, I did go back and watch the whole meeting. And it sounded very clear to me from the chair of the SU board that the process, the SU board has heard the process. That feedback was that there was a lack of transparency and maybe outreach wasn't as strong as it could have been to the public, and that there's a change coming, being recommended for the future for the SU budget. But that's in place. School districts are voting on their budgets right now, and some have already voted. Marlboro voted already. And so I just think it's really important that we stick to this year and really listen to our voters and our taxpayers about how we can be very transparent about our spending and take next steps to figure out ways that we can get creative to reduce our costs and expand our opportunities for kids. So.
Thanks, Emily. Drew?
So Heidi's told us 2 meetings in a row that the anticipated revenue side, we all know and acknowledge that a large portion of the tax impact this year is as a result of a reduction in the revenue side, and we've harped on that. But we're also hearing that now that we have more anticipated revenue based on the best information available today. So it does not make any sense to me, if we think we have more revenue coming, to then draw down, try to ask our taxpayers for more money rather than adjusting the projected revenue. Because if we don't open the SU budget and adjust the projected revenue side to reduce the assessment, then all of those cuts are coming from student programs. So it is irresponsible of us to not take the most up-to-date information we have and incorporate that in the budget. And 2 meetings in a row, we've heard from Heidi that the anticipated revenue is going to be a couple $100,000 more. Our share of that is
Around 100,000.
100,000, which means that's 100,000 we don't have to take from music, art, or something else. That's why I've made my motion. It only makes sense.
So what we did discuss at the last SU meeting that I don't think you were at, was that the assessments would be reduced based on the money coming in. And I wouldn't put out the assessments to the school districts until that. I understand what you're saying about.
We're still raising in taxes though.
Correct. I don't know if we have to reopen the SU budget if we're making a reduction to the assessments based on federal funds coming in to reduce the MTSS assessment. Emily, do you have any idea about that? I have no idea, because when we were discussing it, the assessment was just going to be changed based on the actual funding needed. So if that is actually accurate, then I potentially can just do the assessments which impact the bottom line of all the budgets without opening the SU. If that's the funds that we're looking for, I should be able to just reduce that assessment in your budget.
And when do we know 100% certain that the money will be?
It's all past the federal government, and there hasn't been, the way the AOE members were talking about it was last year at this time, there was a lot of grumblings about the federal government withholding the funds, which they did at the 10th hour. There is no grumblings, and the feeling is that the federal government heard their constituents and their congressmen on both sides of the aisle that touching these education federal grants right now is not okay. So they're feeling that the flat funded approvals that happened at a federal level are going to come through.
And when is that? When do we receive the money? Typically?
It's before July 1st usually.
It is, okay.
Yeah. So that's my 2 cents.
Okay, thanks. Greg, you had a question?
Well, I thought the revenues, those revenues, aren't those coming back on the FY26 budget, and you're talking about the FY27 budget? I just feel like, are we mixing budgets? That's all.
No.
Okay, any more discussion on Drew's motion to ask the SU to hold a meeting to reopen the budget. Okay.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
So I would say, based on what you just said, I'd like to know, right? Do we have to, if we have to open the budget in order to do that, then.
Which if you're not reducing something from the budget, the expenditures are still the same at the SU level.
Right.
So you wouldn't be revoting on the expenditures. You're just seeing a reduction based on the revenue, which is why I don't think that you need to reopen the SU budget. For that purpose.
Just
For
changes
that
the
purpose.
assessment, which is not a part of the expenditure.
Exactly.
Okay, so with confirmation of that, I would vote no, but if it's necessary, then I would say yes.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm just gonna re-reference what Emily mentioned at the beginning, which is the timeline. Because a couple things. One, the board voting, even if the board voted unanimously to do that, that doesn't necessarily mean that the SU board will do it.
Got 6 votes.
I'm just saying, but it doesn't mean that they will. So it's and to do it earlier. I'm just thinking of the timeline, and I'm worried about how this all plays out. If what I'm hearing, if I want to try to capture what I'm hearing, is that people are concerned about cuts that were made already, right? So I'm hearing over here.
That's what they
And
want
so
their librarian about it.
If the idea is that either the budget went down either because of some retaliatory gesture against the SU, or as Emily mentioned, turnout, people didn't come out to vote.
Thank you.
Or it's a communication issue, we didn't get enough information out about the vote. If that's why turnout was low, and that's why we didn't get a passed budget, and those things are not based on spending at the district level, I just wonder about how long do you wanna wait to move a budget that isn't gonna change, potentially. I mean, the revenue side would change, the assessment side would change, but how long do you wanna wait to do that, pending what might or might not happen at the SU level, which might or might not happen until late May? I'm just thinking about that because you're getting very close to July 1 at that point. And granted, the turnaround time is quick, so, but if you're voting in June, because you have to wait till after the May meeting, is that gonna affect your turnout? People are now thinking about summer vacation and so on and so forth. So I'm not picking a side on that one, these are concerns I would have with thinking about it.
Go ahead.
I think the timeline makes sense, like we have to be cognizant of timeline, but I also think our constituents need to know that we are responsive to them. And if there are many constituents that are concerned that things are at the SU level, I think it's less the dollar amount that changes. It's that we as a board are trying to hold the SU accountable, and any kind of symbolic gesture that the SU could make in reductions, tiny reductions at the administrative level, would go a long way. So I am in favor of this, whether it fits in the timeline or not, because I think it's important for us to be responsive to our constituents, and overwhelmingly, I've heard constituents be frustrated at the SU level.
Kate.
Thanks. I have a question and a comment. Humor this question because I may be spun around, but if we get this increased revenue, is that, like, if it comes through, can we put back some of the program cuts, like, within that amount? And forgive me if that's way out there. I'm just trying to understand, like, how else that can impact our budget. Like, if we put back in, or no. I see Emily shaking her head.
Well, the revenue that would come back at the SU level.
Right, okay.
And
So
it would lower our assessment, but it wouldn't give us more money to actually play with. And you have
But we could theoretically reallocate some of that back. I'm just curious, and then let me follow that with, I am really concerned about, I think it's really important to find ways to address huge community concern. I am really concerned about the risks, if teacher contracts are hanging, as I understand it, until we close our budget, that's all on hold. And so for me, that's a real concern. The risks seem very high. And I want to think about, whether or not we do that, we need to be communicating a lot more to our community and understanding this is a really helpful conversation, because it doesn't sound like, from what you all have heard, right, it doesn't sound like people ding the budget because their taxes are, they're upset about our budget per se. And I think that's really important feedback. We're not looking at more cuts to our programs, right? We know that, but it's helpful to have that affirmed. But our strategy to get a good budget through, I think, is less about cutting the budget than really communicating with our community. And if we don't, I'm not sure I'm persuaded that the reopening the SU budget is the best strategy to protect. I'm not sure the risk is low enough in terms of its impact on kids and teachers and planning for next year. But it is clear if we don't do that we should perhaps do something like find time for special meetings where folks can really ask and have questions answered and better understand the process and better understand the district's plan for next year, and how, we have new reps, we have new energy, but a plan for taking this on and how, what the steps would be with the SU. So I think we need to address this concern, but I'm really worried about the potential impact on this coming school year.
Thanks, Kate.
Okay, so I have a question to try and help decide which way to go personally on this motion. So obviously, voting yes, we're gonna try and get motion to reopen the SU budget. But if we're voting no and we're cutting programming, how does that impact the contract, future contracts? Say if there's a reduction in programming, that's also a reduction in staff. Isn't there a timeline coming up soon where contracts have to be signed by?
Last Friday, it was the RIF date.
So we can't.
Which just, when we moved the meeting later, we talked about this in this board, that having a later district meeting and a later vote could run up us against the RIF date, which was last Friday.
Yeah. Okay.
So any staff that were not RIFed by Friday cannot be RIFed. So if you're talking about large scale reductions, it's obviously staff. So you wouldn't be looking at contracted staff. You'd be talking about support staff and administration.
Or unfilled, or currently unfilled.
Unfilled positions,
Yep.
supplies, equipment, contracted services, things like that.
Okay. I thought of it with the band.
Yep.
That's what brought that to mind.
Yep.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
If we are concerned about timeline, could we amend the motion to say something like we are requesting that the SU budget be reopened and discussed next week, or within the next 2 weeks, to see if, to help with the timeline? Would you take that as a friendly amendment?
I will.
Which?
Yeah, what's the
With-
timeline?
I don't know what would make the most sense.
I mean, I'm
but
gonna
if-
go make the request on your behalf, depending on how the vote goes, to Rich. What's my timeline, motion makers?
For the folks that understand the timeline of this process more than I, what would make the most sense?
Well, we're talking about the timeline to warn a special meeting of the SU. That's a 24-hour notice to warn a special meeting. So that's not the challenge. Finding a date that people can make it to and have a quorum might be a bigger challenge.
Right.
Vacation is next week. That's a
Right.
challenge. People might not be around. I'm not around.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, those couple weeks, I think, if you're talking about the week after break, last week of April, I mean,
Well, I'm just wondering, if we don't do this, what is the timeline for us to make decisions? When do we need to make a decision? You rattled off some dates of when we need to do things. If we reopen the SU budget and they discuss it, when would they need to get back to us for us to be able to then have the next meeting to decide how we're going to go with our budget?
yeah, I think.
Does that make sense?
We have to have it in
Question?
place by June 30th, right?
Yeah, the budget has been voted on before June 30th in order to have it in place.
Because we have
before
like a
fiscal year.
week and a half, 2 week timeline to put it together
Yeah,
once we do it.
yeah, 10 days
The
or so.
budget has to pass, not be
Right.
voted on. It actually has to pass
Right.
by then.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, ideally, I don't want to be the district that has 3 budget votes or 4 budget votes, right? You want to do it right, well, I want to do it right the first time, but we'll take the second time. So, you know, I guess the shorter the window, the better, to be able to do it, but still be safe enough in case it doesn't, and you have to do it again before the end of June.
So
I mean,
then-
I don't have, there's no right answer to that,
Right,
but.
okay. So then I would say 2 weeks.
So by the end of April.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
I feel like I gotta at least say something about the entity of Wyndham Central. Because it feels like there's a lot of us versus them stuff.
We are.
Wyndham Central is us. It is you. Like, it isn't like a separate organization. I mean, it's a separate tax entity, but it's a umbrella operating for you guys. If the SU didn't exist, if there was no law requiring districts to be part of an SU, all of the things that happen at the SU office, you'd be doing on your own at your own expense. So I just want you to understand that. So like special ed, payroll, accounts receivable, superintendent, all of the things that you get as a service through the SU are things you have to do on your own. What makes the SU cost savings venture is that you share that service with 4 other districts. And I just want to make sure we're clear on that. Everyone understands what the point of it is. Like, it's, people can make the argument that that's top heavy, but I mean, there's probably, I don't have the number on the top of my head. I did when we did the SU budget. I mean, Drew remembers my graphics, but I want to say there's like 70 employees who are in schools doing direct service to kids, you know, and she mentioned 10 that are in the
Just
SU
the-
budget.
right,
Like,
which is
the
the
vast majority of all those funds are student facing. And ironically, I just want to point this out, when we did try to find some efficiencies through reorganizing and having a closer look at special ed and reducing a couple special ed positions, people got upset with that. So, but that's the thing you wanted reduced, although you want administrators cut, not teachers, but the vast majority of the SU is teachers and pairs. So I just want to make sure everyone understands, like, that's the mechanism, that's the structure. That's what you're talking about. It's you, it's your organization.
Thank you. Yes, Dave.
Some of what I'd heard is because with the Marlboro vote, that makes 3 non-operating districts. The optics, that you only have 2 operating districts left. Why do you have so much staff? I mean, you say that this, you know, good share of the 70, the optics does not get out to the general public, the taxpayers, the people that pay your salaries, that pay our, dang, I can see there, someone voted not for the.
And I guess that's my
stipend.
point, you know, like, I agree, I think, and in fact, it was the Marlboro closing vote that pushed Heidi and I to have an audit done of the super's office, the financial side of it, my side, the ops side, because we want to ensure that we are right sized. So we are in the process of doing that now for a pretty nominal fee, having a retired business manager come in through the collaborative and analyze our systems to make sure that we are functioning correctly, that we're not too big or too small, or that we're right sized for our operation, given that change. So we're addressing that and looking at that right now.
We're on the front lines. I mean, maybe some people don't feel comfortable going to Emily. But boy, they're more than comfortable to talk my ear off.
Yeah.
And I
guess,
think maybe it's the optics of it all. You know,
Sure.
the timing of Marlboro's closing, the cuts in the special ed program and the reformer, and then adding, you know, the co-principal idea probably was not the right timing. Maybe this vote would have passed if that had come after all of this.
yeah, well, I'm sure, but I wouldn't have been in a position to recruit people for a position that you want the best possible people in. So
timing is everything.
it is, but also, like, if you want to move the product forward, you need to have a high quality staff to do it. And so
I get it.
You know what I mean? I just the reason I say all this is to say this. I want you guys as board members in West River to not feel like the SU is the enemy. We're on your team. We are your team. You're our team. And so when it feels like in the public that maybe that there's negativity about the SU from board members, that's concerning to me, because we're here to serve you guys and to serve the districts, which is what you do. And I just wanna make sure, like, that's something we have to be talking about.
Okay, so we are so far off discussing this actual motion. Unless you have a direct comment on voting about opening the SU budget or not, we gotta stop, or we're gonna be here we're gonna beat Drew's record. It directly relates to reopening the budget, right?
Yep.
Okay.
In that the SU is us, that is why we need to reopen the budget.
Okay. Yes, Kate.
Sorry, I know you're going long, but before we vote, is there like what's the alternative if the budget doesn't get reopened and there's not a positive outcome? Like if it's okay, can we have that? Can we walk through that too before folks vote? Sorry, if you can say no if you don't think that's productive right now, but
I don't know. The board would have to give some sort of direction to the administration about whether we cut the budget, increase the budget. We could get a petition from the public to revote the budget that was presented. That's actually happened once when I was on the board. And we revoted the exact same budget based on a voter petition. There are a lot of scenarios that could happen if the first thing that we've decided to do doesn't work out the way we hope it will. That's the best answer I can give you.
thank you.
All right, so all in favor of asking the SU to hold a special meeting by, I'm gonna say May 1st, because that gives it the end of the second week of April, really, to reconsider the budget, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand somehow.
Aye.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Motion passes. So I will reach out to Rich, who's the chair of the SU board, and see if the SU can pull together a special meeting by the end of basically the end of April, so May 1st, to reconsider the budget. Once we have that answer, we can go from there. Yes, Drew?
We also get a list of vacant positions. So we know that we're beyond our RIF period, but I think we need to take a serious look at what we have for vacant positions currently.
Are you asking for vacant positions in the SU or
No,
the
in
West
our
River?
West River. So obviously we can't RIF people, then I think we should take a serious look before we hire new people. If maybe we can readjust staffing or change programming or.
Yeah, so if the board wants to do that, I would ask for that to be a motion, because what you're in essence doing by doing that is asking us to freeze hiring, if I'm hearing it correctly, until a later date. And if we have candidates in the hopper already, and we've already done interviews, we may have offers out, people just haven't agreed, there's a lot of variability there, and the longer you go, obviously the candidate pool is gonna be smaller. So I just wanna what you're asking, be super clear what you're asking for, so that we have that very clear direction for the board.
Yes, I'm asking that we freeze hiring until we make decisions about the future of this budget.
So any positions that are currently that have not been signed on as of right now,
Yep.
to not fill those positions until sometime in the future.
Correct.
More conversation.
That needs to be a motion, I'll make it.
I'll second it.
All right, motion maker, want to speak to that further?
So if we don't know the outcome of our requested conversation with the SU, it sounds like there's some people that don't think that will yield us any actual savings. So if we have to look at internally to make additional cuts or reorganize, if we offer contracts, that limits our ability, right? So our hands are tied. So in a time of uncertainty, you don't bull forward in a direction, you pause and reevaluate. And that's where we're at right now. And if we can't if we have no idea whether we're gonna be able to find anything at the SU, in order to help reduce the budget, then I think the only responsible thing to do is to pause future spending until we can make those decisions.
Add to that, Dana?
Well, if we already have them, if we have candidates already in the hopper, do we deficit spend? Like, because if we offer them a contract but we don't have the funding for that, we're deficit spending, right?
Sure, but there are positions that are, I'm thinking of your food program, which he's resigned, and you may not have a food program.
Your second administrator, you don't have a signed person there.
We don't have that.
So,
And a couple of teaching
Teachers.
positions.
Mhm.
This one's been filled,
okay,
signed.
okay.
No,
Well, it's actually this one that's supposed to go.
sorry, yeah, that one.
The other way.
So,
Yeah, there's a couple,
I mean,
for sure, but you talk, that's what I'm saying, you're talking about teaching positions, you're talking about all positions, because that,
Or
you're not gonna be able-
anything at this point.
well, again, as I mentioned, my concern would be the further down the road you go, the fewer the candidates you're gonna have to be able to staff those positions, and I hear what you're saying, but some of them are essential for operations.
Yeah. I mean, well,
Okay, Emily.
Thank you. So I'm strongly opposed to this motion. I think that if we have offered, if we are in the search and we are negotiating with candidates, those positions should not be frozen. There are other places we can cut if we need to cut out of this budget. It doesn't necessarily have to be staff. And much of the pushback that I'm hearing from other board members tonight, unlike the stuff I've heard, is concerns about loss of programming for kids. And staffing is about programming for kids. And so even administrative staffing is for programming for kids. And so I strongly oppose this motion, and I hope with that it fails, because I think that's very disruptive for our system. And we haven't even had a conversation about other ways that we could reduce our budget to present it again to the taxpayers.
Sure.
Emily, I just want to ask you a quick question. Have you heard any more about the yield bill or what's happening? Because I have looked at how that might have impacted the numbers.
The yield bill was strangely sent to the Education Committee in the Senate for some reason, and just on Friday, I believe, or Thursday or Friday, it finally got sent over to the Senate Finance. It was odd because it was the bill that I had added on the census block grant, the inflator. I had added I introduced a bill to add the inflator back in. And instead of having it as a separate bill, the House Ways and Means Committee folded my bill into the yield bill. And it was that inflator that made the clerk in the Senate send it to Education. I don't know why they held on to it as long as it did, because it's really a finance thing. It is now in finance, and I suspect it will be taken up quickly this week and moved. I've heard no pushback on that inflator. So that would be additional. I don't know how much it'll turn out to be for you, and I don't know how much they changed it in Ways and Means, but they did make a little bit of changes from my bill.
Well, I did do some calculations, and I was looking at the number that I was told, which was 9170. It does, for instance, reduce the tax rate in Jamaica by 9 cents, which is a much bigger decrease than the 100,000, which is not quite 2 cents. So that is potentially a change that could be made in a budget that's brought forth for voters.
I think it's important to note that it hasn't passed yet.
It hasn't passed, yes, thank you. I did talk to a number of business managers at the last committee meetings that I've been at the last 3 days, and a number of them are using that number all in hopes that it all pans out and voters approve on the second or third vote. So it is a possibility that we use that as well.
Lindsay.
I definitely hear Drew's concern about we don't want to handcuff ourselves when we're gonna have to do something. I also hear how disruptive that is, obviously, but something has to happen, and I'm wondering, I am out of ideas. I feel like we went through our budget, we did this process, we made a bunch of cuts, we, with like a fine tooth comb multiple times, and to everyone on the budget committee, thank you, so I didn't have to be, because it's a lot, and it was a ton of work, and I know a little bit of that stuff got put back in, but not a lot, and if we don't pause this, I don't know what other things, like, I'm hearing like, we can't approve this motion because that's scary and a big upheaval, but I literally don't hear another solution to move forward with our budget.
Well, I mean, if the budget went down because the budget was too high, based on spending in the West River, then that's a good question to ask. But if the budget didn't go down for that reason, you know what I mean? Like, is that really the problem? And I don't know that we know that. I mean, if you want to have the idea of a survey, I know that that's wonky and unwieldy, and I'm not sure that we have time for that either. But like with an Australian Valley, you don't know why. You hear stuff, right? But and so
Hear stuff.
yeah. So so I think if it was about the spending is just too high of a percentage increase, and people are just mad about that, then sure, then we should be looking at other things. But it's not what I'm hearing. So
That's why I say add it. Add stuff that look at that.
Sarah's hand is up.
I'm sorry? Oh, it is? I can't
It's
even
a
see.
glare.
Yeah, go ahead, Sarah. There's a glare I can't see at all.
Yeah, I apologize. There's a light behind me. Anyway, thank you. Yeah, I would really like to see us talk about how we can repropose the same budget, or if we do legally have to make a change, an extremely minor change, like literally $1, and focus more on educating the public onto what this budget means, the cuts that have already been made, what we have control over right now, and what supporting versus not supporting this budget means. I agree. Trying to find more cuts is not a good idea for anyone right now. I also don't think we should freeze hiring for that same reason. But so I'd really love to, I don't know if we need to discuss that right now, but if we could figure out how do we move forward with the budget we have right now.
Thank you. We can discuss that afterwards, although, if our first hope is to reopen the SU budget, I thought we would do that and then do it incrementally. But the motion on the floor is actually, do we freeze hiring or not? So any more discussion on that, or are we ready to vote?
I guess I have one other question, if it's all
Sure.
right. So I did hear from a lot of people about concerns about administration heavy everything. I think that does also translate to asking for an extra co-principal. I don't want to say extra, but asking for a co-principal instead of a principal and a vice principal within our district. And I would be concerned about moving forward with that and not having had more conversations, I guess. And that does not necessarily mean freeze everybody, but that part of it, I have heard a lot from people about, so in fairness to my constituents, I guess.
So the motion is to freeze all hiring. I'm sorry? Oh, Max, go ahead.
I had a question about the motion. What specifically would we be freezing? Like, what hiring positions would we be freezing? Would we specifically be freezing the administration hiring, or would it be more of administration and other staff?
The motion is for every position.
Every
Food service, groundskeeper, teacher, administrator,
Temporarily.
part-time, whatever.
Temporarily until this board makes a decision about the budget, because right now, we're hiring people based on a budget that failed. So until we make a decision about what the budget looks like, we're promising people jobs that we don't know that we have money to pay for. That's irresponsible. You wouldn't do that at home. Like, we shouldn't be doing that with the taxpayers' money. We know that we have to make an adjustment. Now, we may come back and have a special board meeting in a week and go, we're gonna re-warn the budget for the same amount of money. It is a temporary freeze until we've had enough time to make the decision about what we are going to represent to the taxpayers. It's the only responsible decision.
Thank you.
Al, go ahead.
Are all of these positions not in the budget that we're contemplating?
All the positions
That we're contemplating freezing?
are in the budget except the transition to the co-principal model.
Okay, so these are already in the budget.
Yes.
So we're hiring in effect to save money versus.
But you don't have a voter-approved budget, so
Understood.
you would be reducing what you have to start with on July 1st.
Right.
Yes.
I just didn't want to
Yes.
have the impression that we're adding
Right.
to the current budget.
You're not adding to the proposed budget.
And I would argue that even though we don't have a voter-approved budget, we have a budget that the budget committee and the board agonized over as being the bare bones necessary budget with all the cuts we could possibly make. And we're talking about teachers and, a food program and things like that. I think it's irresponsible to stop moving that forward because those are things that our students need. And those are not cuts that we're gonna go back and make no matter what happens.
Sorry. Another question I have. I know that one of the teacher positions that is up for hiring is also co-assigned to the intensive. The job comes with teaching social studies but also being the head of the intensive program. So if we didn't hire, would the intensive program be gone for us?
Well, it's only temporary too.
But I'm saying like if next year we aren't able to hire, then what would happen to intensives?
That would be something administration would have to figure out.
Yeah, that particular example is one that has already been hired, but the question is a valid one for all the others. There's requirements around, well, librarian as an example, is an EQS requirement, the state requires us having one.
Yeah.
And if we right now we have a couple of candidates, if we're pausing and those candidates get jobs elsewhere, and then we have 0 candidates, then we have 0 candidates. So that's a risk that we face. It's a bit of a gamble. I get why, but it is a gamble.
So we may be in a situation where maybe it's not that position, but we may have, for example, had to, if we had the time, we may have riffed a different position. But if we filled all the positions, we can't riff them. But what we may be able to do is reassign a staff member we already have into an open role. By leaving the roles open, it gives us options. And I'm not talking indefinitely, I'm talking long enough for this board to have a conversation about what the budget looks like.
Emily, go ahead.
Question.
So if we freeze for 1 week, and hold a meeting so we can have this conversation, and it's probably not going to happen since we passed a motion to open the SU budget. So, or asked to reopen the SU budget. So this is going to be several weeks at least before this decision gets made. And at the same time, during that time, we lose candidates for the positions that we may, we're late already on these candidates, having them open. And I can tell you the pool is slim for every position. I can't speak to custodian positions or things like that, but I know any teaching position and all that, we get feedback all the time that the pool is so ridiculously tight, and we lose quality candidates probably if we move forward with this.
You call the question?
I think so. They're supposed to be, I forget what the majority is supposed to be. 2/3 majority? Or we can just agree to be done and vote. Does anybody want to add stuff? Because there's a motion to call the question. All right, nobody else wants to add anything, so all in favor of freezing all hiring, please signify by saying aye.
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 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, all opposed? Nay?
Nay.
Great, I get to break a tie. I'm opposed to this as well. No freeze. Motion fails.
Could you call out who voted for what, please?
Get a roll call.
Sure, we'll go around. Leanne?
Yeah.
Crystal? Lindsay?
Yes.
Dana?
Aye.
Drew?
Aye.
Fiona?
No.
Al?
Nope.
Emily?
No.
Kate?
No.
Sarah?
No.
And I'm also a no. Joe? You got it, Meredith?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So again, we will see about reopening the SU budget. Based on their response, we can perhaps have another meeting. Yes, Bob?
I just wonder if there's any other direction that the board would like the administration to take in the meantime.
That was gonna be my question, sorry, you didn't, I'm just waving my hand here. I'm wondering if in the meantime, we could make some decisions about what direction we'll go. I mean, if the SU budget doesn't reopen, we know we can't bring back the exact same budget without a petition of the voters asking us to bring that same budget back. So, are there other areas that the administration could recommend that we could reduce? Should we give them a target of what we should reduce? I don't think we're going to ask to come back higher. I don't think we've ever done that before. I don't think our taxpayers would appreciate that. So I'm assuming that we will bring back a budget that is less. And what's the timeline for that?
Okay. So we would have to give direction. My personal opinion would be bring back a very small adjustment and do some really intensive, both get out the vote efforts and talk to the public about what's actually been done, the changes that Rich announced, that the chair of the SU board announced at the last meeting to increase transparency and there was an audit of one budget and area, and there needs to be a report on that so that maybe some of those cuts get understood better. And I think that's coming in May to the SU board. Maybe we can push it forward. And then the SU is also undergoing, as you talked about tonight, an audit to make sure that it is right-sized and that it is serving the SU's, all of the district's needs properly. That would be my thought for a direction, because I don't think there's a lot left to cut. If there was stuff that could have been cut without crippling programs, we've done it already. Go ahead, Al.
I would say on top of that, had this discussion about an infographic. Kind of just fell off the map, and I don't remember how or why, but we used to have a great one-pager that was just really a good synthesis of everything that happened with the budget. Provided a lot of information. Obviously, there's a lot of information in the annual report, but people are busy. If you can have a nice, simple one-pager that really kind of says it all, it'd be really important to have, and I don't know if that's something that we could pull together.
The other thing I was gonna say about the annual report, the night of the vote count, I was at the town hall in Townsend, and the box of annual reports that I delivered there was mostly still full. So I don't know, if people didn't know, someone mentioned they didn't know that there was a vote happening. I don't know that we went to every store, every town hall, and every school and delivered piles of them. River Valley's district mails one home to every registered voter. Costs more, but every registered voter gets one.
We used to mail that one-pager.
Well, that was my thought, was maybe the compromise is that we do a mailing to every registered voter, but it's the one pager. The production of that turnaround time on that, editing of all that, and then with the vote date on it and all the information you need to get out, and to have it for that week and a half or 2 week turnaround time, I mean, we can do our best, but that's an idea I think we could communicate a little better with folks on.
And those are also easier to insert in papers, front page forum.
Well, they can be
Front page
PNG things that just put on Facebook,
Yeah.
put on whatever, yeah, they
Yeah.
can be everywhere, you plaster the place.
Nice. Leanne?
I actually echo that. I heard from a lot of people that asked why we don't mail them to everyone anymore. I've heard that a lot. The infographic could possibly save on the money for that, while at the same time directing them to where it can be found online or a paper copy somewhere. I actually didn't even realize it was online until I went searching. It's nowhere where it's front and center for people to see, so that's more of just a thought for the future.
It's under the annual reports.
Yeah, it's there, but
it's
during budgeting season, it should be front and forward, easy to find.
Well, the challenge is we're not,
I
the
know.
SU site is not just one district, so it's like, you can't be like West River dominant, you have to like, but yeah, it's in the West River
all of
place.
them. Here's River Valleys, here's
Yeah, that's true.
West River. I mean, easy enough.
True.
So at the last meeting, we had the discussion about the co-principal. The administration was gonna come back and tell us where they were gonna come up with the $25,000 in reductions within the budget. So we're already, assuming that we're gonna move forward with that hiring based on the failure of the last motion, what are you cutting?
Well, I'm not assuming anything, but even with the failure of the last motion, to be honest with you. So I was hoping to get some direction from the board around what we're doing in the meantime, because I want to be responsive to what the demands are. I am nervous about losing lead candidate. I'm nervous about what we do if we lose a candidate. I'm nervous about not finding the money to get to that dollar amount. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts there, but I don't have an answer on that yet. I think there's some nickel and diming, but I'm not to 25,000 yet. So I don't have an answer, but I have some stuff. I've been out for a little bit at conferences, and we haven't really had a chance to kind of get together and scour more thoroughly. So probably this week. I'm tired to her chair, so she can't leave. So yeah, I don't have an answer on that yet.
Okay, Kate, I know I saw your hand, I saw Lindsay's hand, you too.
And just a clarification on
No,
that, 15 to 25,000, not.
Oh, right.
Right. Yeah, well, it's probably on the higher side.
Okay,
So.
okay.
Kate.
I don't know if we are gonna wait until after the SU conversation, but I would love to see us thinking ahead about another kind of public or informational meeting, just to like both hear people's thoughts, but also it seems like folks have real and legitimate question about what's happening and why, and we are still not having a conversation where we're answering those questions. I think it would be great to have a meeting where Bob can come prepared and really explain the new model and why that's better for students, which I'm not saying by saying that it's not, but I think like we are, I'd like to hear us discuss the substance. I'd like to have a well publicized effort to share that with the community without judgment on those questions. The same questions do keep coming up about what it costs to administer and run our schools, and I'd like to find ways to share and discuss that information and hear folks' questions, because again, I think the sense of like the input we've had, and I think it's sort of in the air, is that not so much that people think the budget is too high. In fact, in some regards, right, the cuts are too deep, but there's a real communication gap, both in like all these questions that keep bubbling up, but also kind of what happens next and what the consequences are. And I'd love to see us bring the community with us going forward and find a way to do a lot more communicating. I think even if the budget stays the same, it would be great, again, to bring folks in.
Thanks, Kate. I think Lindsay had her hand up.
No, I'm all set. After it's been discussed.
Okay, Drew?
So with an affirmative vote from Jamaica, so this board has not voted to close the school, but we now have the authority to close the school before the end of June. Are there items in the budget? I know we had talked about things like plowing, we talked about things like, insurance and fuel. Is there anything there that we can then look at now that we have a definitive answer, where before we were leaving a little bit,
I think I had a little bit, and I definitely have some insurance on the building because I wasn't sure how it was gonna play out.
And there may be some legal fees for the transaction, so there are some things, and we don't know how long it'll take, and so does it get into heating season before it happens? If it's slow, and Wyndham, it did take a while, and so, I mean, I'd love to say, just clean that out, but to be responsible, I don't know that we should.
I definitely took out the plowing because, there was one place that I was hopeful, and, I certainly can go back and come back to the board with how much is still in there. I did not plan that for tonight.
I'm interested at some point, details on the plowing plan, because that was an abrupt change last summer that we hadn't talked about, and I'd really like to know, fully loaded, what does it look like?
Okay, go ahead.
So I feel like we're having two different conversations at the same time. One is we're talking about where can we find reductions, and the other conversation that we're having at the same time is how do we communicate with the public and how do we move forward. I would like to have one of those conversations at a time to kind of get somewhere, rather than I feel like we're kind of circling. Is there a way that we could focus on what are the steps that we can go do now, and then move to how are we going to reduce? Because I feel like we're just talking in circles and not really going anywhere with this.
Well, we won't really get to the nitty-gritty of how exactly we can reduce. I mean, the board will give direction to the administration, and they will actually go figure out where things can happen and what can be tweaked. I mean, and unless there's some specific area that, we feel strongly they need to pay attention to, we may have given them enough now to do that. And then in terms of reach out, yeah, sure, we can, that probably is a deeper conversation than we can have just tonight. I mean, initially, we should look at the cost of one of those one-page mailer things and the timeline on getting that done. I know we did that some in the past, and that does get some things out. And it's not ridiculously expensive. This board, has for its entire existence struggled with communication with the public. We go on every outlet we can, and we get our meetings recorded and broadcast on TV, and you hear all the time, I had no idea, I didn't know. It's really hard to reach people until you've reached something that they're really concerned about, and then you get that group out. But yeah, we need to continue having the conversation about how we engage with the public. I mean, the vote thing, I forget, it's buried under the mountain of paper, but there's a whole lot of registered voters out there, and I know we didn't talk to them all. There's 4,100 people, and we got 400 of them to come out and vote, and so we missed 90%. We need to do better, but the how of that is hard. Like Lindsay's survey, how'd that do for you?
Some good, some not so good.
Yeah, there you go. It's hard. It's really hard. But anyway, that probably needs to be another night's agenda item as well. But go ahead, Lindsay.
I was just wondering if the board has the stomach for adding a meeting, maybe like the Monday before our next regular meeting, so that if the SU has anything productive to offer to us for conversation, that we could start that conversation early, and if they do not, we at least could invite the public to focus on that as we're spending a meeting on this. Please bring your concerns, not just to us individually, but to the board as a whole, and we can put the word out as best as possible for people to send us correspondence or whatnot. I know that several of us have heard, well, there's been like several of us that have heard like one thing and several of us that have heard none of that. And so I think that, I think that all of those things are true, and that it would be good to have, more community input if they want to give it. And if If there is also SU budgeting conversations that we can add to that meeting, great. And if there's not, then at least we will have made ourselves available to hear what people have to say.
Well, May 4th conflicts, I'm told, with
River Valley's
River
meeting.
Valley's.
How dare you?
So we would not have we wouldn't have a superintendent and a business manager.
Wednesday, I don't know about Bob, but Wednesday the 6th, I don't have a board meeting that night.
I could do Wednesday the 6th.
So
Can I have it both?
Yes, oh, please.
I am concerned about timeline here. You know, first of all, we're holding ourselves back from making decisions on what we present to the public. If we're going, I mean, I guess I'm going to kind of go back to what Fiona was saying. We need to decide what our path is. Right now, we have set ourselves on a path to request the SU budget gets reopened within, by the end of the month. That's a process, and if we're going to just use that as the next step, we don't need to do anything else. But I don't think that's responsible, because I don't know whether the SU would I don't even know if we can get a meeting, let alone whether everybody would agree to reopen the budget, or if we did reopen it, whether it means reductions that would help us. So playing this out, I think this board needs to meet and have a decision. I don't think we can do it tonight because clearly we aren't ready for it, but make some decisions about what our next steps are going to be if that is not the path that we end up taking. We are going to have to present a budget that is different than the one we presented last week or on the 8th. So we need to come up with a plan on what that is. And we need to do that pretty quickly, I think, as a fallback. Then we may be able to hear some from the public. I want to, we're not going to have time to just ask the public, what do you think we ought to do? It's our job. It is our responsibility to present a budget that the voters can react to. And we need to give them time to react to it after we've proposed it. So I feel like we need to get on that pretty quickly.
Go ahead, Fiona.
I agree with you, Emily. I voted for opening the SU budget, but I was not thinking that it was going to be I think we can do two things concurrently at the same time. I don't think we need to wait until we hear back from the SU to start making decisions. I am concerned about making cuts and changing to the budget without hearing from our constituents. So are you suggesting that we make some changes first, propose that budget, and then hear from constituents? Or are you suggesting we make slight changes, hear from constituents, and then once we hear from them, we will then adjust?
So I think we have heard from constituents. They voted down the budget. I think everybody in this room seems to have heard from their constituents. I'm not saying we shouldn't ask people to come to a special meeting and have them tell us what they think, but I think we probably have a pretty good sense. It sounds like everybody has a pretty good sense. So I think you're right. It can happen simultaneously while we wait to find out what the path is on the Wyndham Central budget. We should still be thinking about how we can come up with a new proposed budget outside of that. I don't think we should be waiting around for that. And I really believe our taxpayers look to us to present a responsible budget to the communities. We did that. We presented a responsible budget to the communities and they said no. And so now we need to come up with, after hearing what we've heard, and we should keep hearing, we need to present another version of a responsible budget based on the feedback we've been hearing and the fact that it needs to be a different budget. It can't be the same dollar amount. And if we're saying, I think we should do something like, we want to take 1 penny off the tax rate. That was something that Heidi had mentioned earlier. Or we want to reduce it by $50,000. Or I think we should give some direction to our administration on this so that we so taxpayers are starting to, our constituents are starting to hear what our plan is for next steps. And it's not a final, we're going to make the final decision when we take a final vote on whatever that plan is. But we can't keep leaving things hanging. This is late. Anyway, just my thoughts.
So, that makes sense to me. I mean, we have 2 weeks basically until with that we have given a deadline for the SU. Nobody's gonna be around vacation week to meet, but the week after vacation, the last week in April, could we meet and come up with a budget? Could you guys have something with, a penny off the tax rate? And we can go back and present that, and concurrently with that, we can do we can communicate better about what other things are in play, and that there were cuts here, and there are, there's ongoing work to address, transparency and future cuts, and making sure that we're doing things correctly at both the West River Education District level and the SU level. Does that work for people? And can we get you guys?
So Monday is for Valley's.
Yeah, Monday is out for me.
And Tuesday is Marlboro.
Okay.
Wait,
Yeah, they moved theirs.
oh, they did.
So
How's Wednesday?
Wednesday 29th is first available that week. I mean, for me.
Yeah, okay.
Can we do, it can be a hybrid, it can be a hybrid meeting. We'll do some publication that we're gonna, look at a new budget and try and get it out that night so that we can do it. We might get some press, and we might get some people in the room. And maybe we can come up with something that we can send out to the community and get going.
In the meantime, can we send something out to constituents to say, oh, sorry, I didn't raise my hand.
I was say, Sarah, what do you got?
Can I just ask, on the Leland and Gray calendar, it says Music Jazz Night on the 29th. Is that a concert? I wouldn't want something where we would like the public to attend on a night when there's an event for the students. I don't know about that, just checking.
I think it's a smaller concert.
But still, it's a public concert.
Unless you do it
Okay.
beforehand.
What time's the concert?
It's a different night.
Well, how's Thursday?
Actually, if we did it like before the concert or after the concert, we might get more people to be there.
What time's the concert?
Probably 7.
It shows us 6:30.
6:30.
How long will it go, do you think?
It says till 8:30.
Could we do a 5:30 meeting?
Not doing that.
I mean, we would have an hour.
Yeah, it sets a pin in it.
It does.
I mean, if we can do a meeting where we
It'd
don't
be a
just,
one agenda item meeting.
Yeah.
Budget.
It'll be as quick as that one Drew did though.
No, we'll never beat that.
I mean, we could have,
Yeah.
if we have a meeting, a 1-hour meeting, and we do our meeting a little unconventionally where people can give feedback on, like you can do a chart paper around the room where we can ask questions and people can actually answer, like they can respond in a way that is much more time sensitive than having people speak. I don't know if that's allowed in this kind of a meeting, but there's lots of ways that you can get feedback from people without having one at a time conversations. And if that's allowed in this kind of a meeting, I think that would work really well to get a lot of feedback from people rather than one at a time talking. Is that something that's allowed?
I would just suggest that historically speaking, those concerts have been smaller attendance than some of the like spring concerts, etc. And so as long as we offer at least a portion of our time before or after that concert, it seems like if we continue to meet while that's going on, it's less likely to be an issue. It will have been made available to everybody. So we don't necessarily need to adjourn immediately. to start a concert.
So
Like May the 6th, you mean, Lindsay?
Yeah, just as long as we've made ourselves available, I don't, yeah,
So we
whatever
can meet at
time
6
everyone
and go
decides.
till 8, and anybody who wanted to come to the concert could be here for a little bit, and we'll take care of them. 6 o'clock the 29th, folks?
Put it on the calendar.
All right.
Kate had her hand up.
I'm
Sorry,
sorry.
can you just
Thank you.
clarify a little more for me if this is presenting a new budget and discussing it with new cuts, or whether we are, as I see it, and maybe I'm, party of one, but like there's an issue of the new budget that we are, I don't know where, somehow we're going to come up with cuts that are again on the district side because that's all we can do. But I feel like from what I've heard and what we've seen, the concerns are not really like nickel and dime on the district side concerns. They are like questions, as much questions that need to be answered, big picture things that people may or may not object to, but one way or the other, the biggest issue is like there's not information, or at least that's one of the issues, including how the SU works and the hiring model. Like maybe those are like giving folks an opportunity to ask those questions and also explain the process, I feel, is important. Another way one might do that is say, like, when the meeting is publicized, give an opportunity for folks to send questions in online. Might be another way to sort of organize at least some of that or add to it. But I'm curious if others are seeing it the same way, but I feel like what we need to talk to our community about is more than just like a new budget with a however many $1,000 difference.
Well, we have to present a budget that's different by statute. A penny off the tax rate is $60,000, and it's a meaningful gesture kind of thing. Is where I came up with that personally.
Right, but what is the gesture? I'm sorry, Joe, I'm interrupting you. Forgive me.
But this would be kind of a hybrid meeting because we're going to have to hear this, and we're going to have to do some community outreach and do some explaining about what's going on and what's happening and what the drivers are and what the changes that we've made are. We may come out of this, hopefully we come out of this meeting with a budget that we can stand behind and go forward with, but we do some education in there too. I mean, what I don't think we have time to do is to hold a big meeting and say, okay, everybody tell us what you want and start again. And I think that's, a lot of what we've been hearing anecdotal feedback is changes we can't control anyway. So, I mean, what you're talking about is the education about the process and how this works and, what this actually does for you and all of that. That is just going to have to, that would be at that meeting and it would be an ongoing thing.
So I may be wrong, but I think that's the issue, not the cuts. I don't know how we're going to sell a budget with deeper cuts, which is what everybody already objects to if we're looking at it for the first time at a meeting. And without answering it sounds to me like a lot of the objections from the community are not the budget number per se. They're like questions about how things are happening. And if I won't keep restating if I'm really the only person who thinks that, but I feel like we're still not addressing that.
No, I think you're right. I agree with you. Go ahead.
All right, so I'd like to offer a suggestion to serve both of these purposes, right? Providing the information as well as we need to make some sort of change to the budget. So I love your suggestion about looking at, what can we responsibly reduce as a result of the Jamaica vote? Is it $10,000, $15,000, whatever that is? That's the change. And then, more importantly, we can focus, as Kate and many others are saying, the information, the process, all of that, which is what people wanted to hear, and then also allude to the fact that we have asked the WCSU to reopen and all that. So, just a nominal change, but then the focus on the process and information.
Good idea.
Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, Crystal.
Is there a way to make the, I know you guys don't usually have a lot of public engagement with the WCSU meetings because I was on that board for a while and, I think it was most recently that people started attending, but to make them more public friendly, because I think some of the people, when they go to the WCSU meetings and they have questions, and I know those meetings are different, but they feel dismissed. And I really felt like our budget paid the price for how people felt about the WCSU stuff. And I don't know how this board fixes that, because they made it clear they didn't want the cuts, and that they were upset about the WCSU stuff. So I just have a lot of concern, like, we're gonna cut our budget and they were already upset about the cuts, and I don't know what the answer is, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to go back to what Bob said. We are the WCSU. We are the WCSU.
I understand that.
And I would also say that every meeting that I've ever been in with Rich will go out of his way to say, hey, you, public, did you have anything that you wanted to say? And he's very, very open to that kind of communication and soliciting it, so, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about the SU, the special ed cuts that people came out in for the SU budget and you felt dismissed, the fact was the budget was passed. And there was no way that the budget was gonna get reopened by public going, no, don't make those cuts. And those weren't even budget cuts. Those were, the SU board asked the administration to look for efficiencies, and those were efficiencies they found. These are positions that we don't need. The workload isn't there, the caseload isn't there. You know, these make sense as cuts. And yeah.
Do you remember, or does Bob remember? I think that budget passed with only one no vote or very few no votes. I mean, it was pretty strongly supported, right? And going to what Al said just now, that is our budget, and we need to make sure we stay, whether we agree with it or not. It's our job to support a budget that passed. You know, we may not like it, but we have to do it.
So, yeah, Drew?
So I'll just gonna put it out there because, you know, I was the no vote. That budget came up in a meeting, it was presented. I requested time enough to review the budget, and that was completely ignored by the board, which they absolutely have the right to do. But from the public's perspective, they certainly didn't have an opportunity to look at that budget because I didn't get a chance to look at that budget and have my questions answered. That budget was passed. Well, I still had open questions as a board member about the budget on the table. My concerns about that budget were completely dismissed. So if my concerns as a board member are dismissed, certainly the public's are dismissed. So that, you know, watch the video. I asked very specific questions about the budget, and the answers were not readily available at the meeting, and we still moved forward with voting that budget that night. I do believe the process that has been laid out for next year is much better, but it doesn't change the process that happened this year.
And that was the process that happened every year in the past too. Just saying. And I mean, I totally hear what you're saying, Drew, and I'm not at all arguing with you, but at the moment of time, no one else felt that they didn't have their questions answered. And so I can't agree that the public didn't have their questions answered because they weren't asking questions of us. This is not an argument for the process. I'm glad the process is changing, and I think you brought up a very good point, and I loved what I was hearing at the last meeting. But I don't want it to sound like we were not being transparent with the public. I don't remember the last time we had a different type of SU budget. It's been like that pretty much every time. Bob, you could speak to it, I guess.
Leanne.
I was just gonna bring up, it's after 9 o'clock, we're talking in circles, keep coming back to the SU and aren't making any progress on
what we're doing right now.
That was what I was gonna say. Yeah, I think we've got a direction on budget,
I
right?
feel like I've had multiple directions given to me, so like, is it a penny on the tax rate that you want me to work at finding cuts, $60,000?
See
Or
what
are we
else.
do-
I like Al's suggestion, it just
Okay, I
didn't
just
occur to
didn't
me.
know what the
I mean, see what that does.
majority is thinking.
Does that work for you? Does that work for people? I mean, look at what the Jamaica closure vote will save us responsibly and see where that comes out. I mean, that could be more than $60,000. It could be more than a penny on the tax rate.
I don't think it is because.
Come on, Heidi, give me a little
I'm
ring.
sorry,
Give me a little
but it was
sunshine
just like,
here.
we were getting to pretty bare bones with that.
All right, so we'll see what that is, and then we can talk about, does there have to be more to, or is it just education after that? And by the time we meet on the 29th, we'll probably know the fate of the request to the SU. Yes, Drew?
So we're still okay with spending more money on administration in between now and our next meeting, knowing that we have this budget challenge ahead of us?
I guess.
I thought what we had voted on was that we would approve the co-principal position if the administration came back to us saying that they had found $25,000 within the budget. And the administration has not come back to us with that. And so right now, we are not able to hire the co-principal position.
Yeah.
My concern is that because the administration has not yet been able to do that, it is elongating the process, and if they are unable to do that, then you're gonna have to start, right, so I'm concerned that we started the hiring process for a position we hadn't approved, because now we're gonna be really late hiring a assistant principal, if the administration can't come back to us. So I don't think we are not hiring a co-principal yet, because administration hasn't come back to us with a cost saving of $25,000. I got it right? Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I said earlier, yeah.
Yeah. All right, you okay?
I'm good, I think.
Good,
As
okay.
good as it,
All right,
yeah.
so let's talk about the Wyndham Transportation contract.
There is one.
Don't have it? Beautiful. Let's talk about the possible HVAC and the GMP thing. Greg, are you still here or did you go to bed?
He's offline. There he is.
Oh, I'm here. I'm not sure why, but I'm here. So, I mean, the question is, do you want to spend money? Right? I mean, there's no way to do this and not spend money.
Oh, can you just mute him and kick him out?
Well, that's why I said I'm not sure why, right? Because that's like, we have an opportunity to do this, but we're going to spend money, and we're just sitting here. We're literally talking about,
But Greg, last time when I presented it initially, the idea was that if the 2 units on the roof that need to get replaced anyways are gonna cost 30 and they can get this.
I got a quote from Alliance for 23,000. You can get this for about 9,800, but I don't have an updated quote of what that was to put it on Dutton. We got to measure it out and get line sets. I don't think it will be a lot different than that number.
So half the price. On the building. So half the price for something that you have to replace anyways at full price. The question I think people had was, if the units are 3 years old, if they've been in use for 3 years.
Yeah, those units are 3. The units in A4 in the IT room are 2002 units that are running R22 refrigerant, and you can't even buy refrigerant for those. We can't buy parts for them, and they're broken down.
So what's the life expectancy of the 3-year-old units that you plop on the roof? Like, because they got 3 years of wear on them, how much longer are we going to get out of these?
Well, we got 25. We got 24 out of the previous units. I can't guarantee we'll get
20
24
years
out.
or so.
Hopefully, I mean, ideally, yes.
And obviously there'd be no warranty like there would with a new one. Do you know what the warranty on a new one would be and how does that compare?
These units have not, when there have been issues on them, it hasn't been great. You know what I mean? Like when we've had issues with them. But I think there's I'd have to look, Bob. I don't remember. I could look at the units we put in the kitchen and see what warranty we had. I know we had a 1 year craftsmanship, and I think he had like the 3 year, maybe a 3 year on like the condenser. It's not, they don't come with a great warranty. We've been dumping money into the ones in Newbrook like crazy because the Newbrook board only paid for a 1 year warranty when they put the heat pumps in on that building. So anytime there's been issues with that, we had some big issues with that, and we tried to warranty it, and there was no warranty to be had.
So Marlboro's gonna need an answer at their next meeting about the future of this stuff, because if we're not purchasing it here, they have to figure out what they're doing with it, right, or offering it to somebody else. What is your recommendation based on what you know? Take the money piece aside for a minute, knowing the conditions of the ones here and what those replacement cycles should have been and what they will be, and
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much every unit in that place, other than the two we put in the kitchen, are pretty close to 20 years old. And I know that the two units that are in the library, I think, are 98. Which when I looked those up, I was like, wow, I didn't even know you could buy these in 98. But so they're old, they're all getting there, Bob. I mean, you know those have been there as long as you've been around in all the offices. I mean, you've been around a hot minute. You've been around a hot minute, Bob.
some of these board members were here.
Yes, but a student.
They're all in the early 2000s range. All the condensers and all the heads there are, and so and we've had issues with them. And the issue is, the big issue is like they're running refrigerant that we can't even get. So if they have a leak, they're just down. They're done.
And we're talking about internal spaces with no air movement.
Correct. Yeah, these are feeding all your interior A rooms, the library, and then some of the main office area there.
So maybe don't think of it as spending money, think of it as saving money that you're gonna have to spend anyways.
So is there money in the capital budget or in the building repair budget or something, or is this, we gotta find new money to buy
Right,
this?
well, Greg is spending most of the money. Greg, that 50,000 that we have in the budget going into capital funds, have you earmarked that already?
We have not. We could replace them with new ones and make it a capital purchase, but this purchase would have to come out of this FY because we're going to be doing it in early June. They have to come out by the 14th of June because they're currently on the modular, and the modular will be gone on the 28th of June.
Oh, so this would be deficit spending in
Yes,
this
we're
year?
already deficit spending, yes.
We're already.
Yes.
Sorry, Joe.
Which is
your tenure.
But your recommendation is that this is money well spent, right?
It was pretty embarrassing last week to have the room be 79 degrees when we were interviewing a co-principal. It was really warm in there. So yeah, I think we should. I think those areas do get that hot.
And there's servers in there too, right?
Yes. Well, the server one we haven't had issues with. The other one is in the actual IT office space. They both are so loud you can't run them when people are in there and have a conversation. Bearings on the shafts and.
Sounds bad.
Is there gonna be anything left from the boiler that you're working on? Isn't that what the funds in the capital fund right now you're spending out on the backup boiler?
No, we're not doing that. We weren't planning on doing that till this summer anyways, though. So we haven't really used that money. So we could use capital surplus from this year and do it. Yes. That's a good point. I hadn't
About
thought of it.
144,000 in capital funds.
There is. Yep.
Yep.
So do you need a motion to do this, or do we just get a wink and a nod?
I think we did.
I think we need a
it's better.
motion.
You're authorizing a purchase from another district.
Okay.
I make a motion that we purchase these from Marlboro. These being the aforementioned
Heat pumps.
Heat pumps.
heat pumps. Okay.
I'll second that.
All right.
Begrudgingly.
Yeah.
I don't think we have a choice.
Yeah.
I really don't. If they're making noise, they ain't lasting much longer.
Any discussion on that
No.
at all?
No.
All right.
Just need to
All
get
those
it
in
done.
favor of making this purchase, giving Greg some money, please say aye. Opposed? I don't see anybody. All right, great. There you go, Greg. Talk to us about a telephone pole.
Joe, and in the SU vein, you're not giving me money, you're reinvesting in your school.
Thank you. We sure are.
Yeah. So GMP reached out to us a second time. They have a poll that they'd like to put in. To me, it looks. I really think the only reason they're asking us is because it's so close to our line. I had Mike Fontaine, our grounds guy, look at it, and he's like, it actually looks to me like it's on town property. They said they're also bringing it up to the town. It's right there on the line between the town hall and Dutton. Mike's, the concerns that Mike and I shared about the first request they made, which was kind of right up in front of the sign, we don't share with this one. It doesn't seem to be a big issue at all to us, but we can't approve that. We would need your they have like a like a formal authorization that I would need you to sign, Joe.
Okay. Looking at the map, I mean, there's already a road sign there. I don't think I care if they're just bringing a power pole that's existing forward, right?
Pretty much. They're putting one of those new tall ones in as part of their program.
What about a guy wire? Will there be an impact of that coming down on the lawn?
No, not. I mean, just going straight back there. I mean, there's really not
No one uses that area.
people there. Yeah, exactly. There aren't people using that space. I mean, our big pushback on the front of the building was there's kids running around there. I think they were going to try and take that small maple out. That one was just, it didn't make sense. This one seems to be no problem.
You don't have any issues with this?
Not at all.
Okay.
Thank you
So
for
then we
pushing
just
back
need
the
a-
first time. Yeah.
Yeah. So we need a motion to allow Green Mountain Power to put a power pole as proposed.
For you to sign the waiver to allow them to, Joe. Yep.
It's on the back.
And then I'll send it to you tomorrow.
Okay, and for the chair to sign the waiver.
Need a motion to approve, Joe?
Yep. A motion to,
I'll make it. Motion to approve the GMP can put that pole there
and direct the chair to sign the waiver.
and direct the chair to sign the waiver.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion at all, other than what we got?
Is there just no possibility, I know that over by Onion Field, they're going underground, and I'm wondering if there's no possibility of them going underground in front of the town hall and the school and right through the freaking center of the village. If there is no possibility of them going underground there,
That's above our pay grade.
that would be nicer, that's my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know the story of why it's underground that one stretch either. I was curious myself.
Sure
about
is
that.
nicer.
It's probably underground there because they land helicopters in that field.
They said no.
Oh, yeah,
to the
that is
easement.
true. I heard
Oh.
that too.
Because they said no.
The onions.
No, because they land helicopters in
Right,
that
for the
field for
dart.
med flight, for dart.
Yeah.
So that's
And
We could
power
change that to
lines and
common,
helicopters
then you might-
really don't mix. Okay, so all in favor of the motion to allow Green Mountain Power to put up a pole, please say aye.
Aye.
I
Opposed?
Nay.
All right. Any abstentions?
I really needed that tonight, thanks guys.
Yes, have it. All right. We have a lot left to get through.
Well, I'm going to respectfully suggest that the policies can wait again. We don't have minutes, I don't think, linked here. There might be something in correspondence. I don't know if there's financials.
There's one
There
financial.
is correspondence.
We do have some executive sessions, and we do need to approve the SIPs because those have to go to the state by the end of the month. Those are the things that kind of have to get done.
Okay, so you want to walk us
I
through?
mean, if you're going to have another meeting
We're gonna have a
prior
meeting on the 29th.
prior to the SU meeting to discuss the superintendent evaluation, you could push that one. If you're definitely gonna, if you wanna do it the same way you're doing the budget, you could push that executive session. You just have to have it done before the May SU meeting.
Okay. So you want to walk us through the continuous improvement plans?
Principals can do that.
Sure, I'm happy to. We took our three goals from the WCSU. A lot of what you really throw at these kind of goals are really professional development. And our central office has done a really nice job of addressing, with our in-service days, addressing the issues that we feel are most important. The first goal is safe and healthy schools, which on my particular SIP, means that we're really working on our PBIS work, and we are looking at implementation of some restorative practices. I wouldn't use capital R, capital P. I would say that we are looking to initiate some strategies, and then finally to put in place, which our central office did this year, a systematic way of collecting behavioral data from around the district. And that's especially important now that the laws have changed in special ed, and a child can get an IEP just because of ED or an emotional disturbance. The planning for next year, which I'm really excited about, is that we're going to be doing some training on responsive classroom, which many of our teachers that have been around for a while have had that training. It's a really impactful, universal construct that helps all kids to engage and to be more independent in the management of their own behavior. So that's kind of safe and healthy schools at my school. I'm going to try to rush because I know that I'm not the only one. Academic achievement, again, the WCSU, we are initiating, next year will be our third year of our initiation with EL education. And we of course are using foundations and bridges as well. So again, we've been training, we've done a lot of training in order to get this initiation. We need to continue to follow through and hold people accountable and things like that. All of our coaching that happens, a great teacher from Townsend School, Bryn Casamassa, comes over. She presents at my staff meetings, follows up with individual teachers in meetings when she comes on Fridays. It's a great system, and that is a real way of getting an expert in front of the teachers. The teachers are, she's doing a great job of it. Continue to implement the scope and sequences, and we've been working. I think we still have work to do in our science and social studies, and that's where the kind of our next prong. And then the local comprehensive assessment system. Again, a few years ago we hired a man named Samson Sherman. Mm-hmm. Thank you. And he's he's a wizard, and he's enabled us. We've set up these systems where we can really one-stop shop and look at all the data on every kid, which it's called NextPath, and it's really amazing. And again, that's a big part of, because you need to have a good look at the data so you can make good choices. So that's the academic achievement. And then finally, the last one is the MTSS system, which I think, for me personally, and this is my opinion, I believe that the structure at the WCSU office, by having somebody over special ed and MTSS and equity and diversity, I think what is happening right now is that we're starting to really build on the behavioral side. And that's the most important thing we can do, because I can tell you as a principal, I am overwhelmed by the amount of behavior and ED kind of work that I am doing personally, and making it so I can't get to the other things that I would have traditionally been able to get to. So having a universal behavioral approach, number one, having a data collection tool that is objective that we can respond to, number two, and then finally having the structures in place administratively for me to be able to make a call to the appropriate person and get some action on something that I need. I've been doing that a lot recently, thank you. I think
what are you talking about?
I think that all of this amounts to the work that we're really doing, right? And those are the three prongs. Do you guys want to add to that? I will say that continuous improvement is something we're all devoted to. And I think that our staff is like the most important place to start, because they really know the work. So this right here is something that we have to do from the state, create a document like this. But I will say that our continuous improvement it's broader than this, and it's more part of everyday life than just making a document once a year. Like, we're really working hard to make our schools as good as they can be. And I really appreciate what's happened with my peers, with my teachers, and with my parents, and with the administration to help us to make that happen.
Thanks, Scott.
What I will add, as you are going to look at the Townsend one, is that it looks very similar to what you approved last year at this time, because it is a 2-year process, and so this is just the second year of the same continuous improvement plan. There's minor changes that I made because of our panorama data, for example. I've nudged the needle up on that goal because we've made some progress. But for the most part, it's the same goals, which provides that consistency for our staff with professional development, with the programming that we have. This year we did a pilot across the SU with a different phonics program called UFly, University of Florida. And we're going to be expanding that, or at least the proposal is to expand that next year. So that's one other slight change that you'd see. But for the most part, it's the document that you approved last year at this time with those few minor changes.
The same for the Leland and Gray SIP. We actually have data showing improvements, but at the same time, we want to continue making improvements. So we're going to stay the course and keep working on our goals. So.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions? Go ahead.
I just will stand on the same exact soapbox I stand on every single year that we do these and say that while I appreciate everybody's desire for students to meet grade level proficiency, I think that it is more important that we acknowledge that every student learns differently, that not every student is going to move at the same pace, and I would still love if we could change our wording to be more of a growth-based mindset, because there are some students who may never reach grade level proficiency, but may still make huge growth, and that's amazing, and that's what we should be working towards, and it's totally okay that they are never gonna reach grade level proficiency, quote unquote. And meanwhile, there are other students who may excel at a significantly faster pace, and if you are telling them that all they need to do is reach grade level proficiency, you're actually weighing them down and you're not giving them what they need to excel at their own personal best. So again, I would love if we could change our wording in the future, SIP plans to include a growth mindset and for every student as opposed to generic grade level proficiencies. That's it.
Anybody else? All right. So we need a motion to approve the continuous improvement plans as presented. Anyone?
Make a motion, we
Okay.
approve it.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing nothing. All in favor of approving the plans as presented, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? They are approved. We don't have principal and superintendent reports, do
We don't, because there
So-
wouldn't be new ones since then, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Policy we skipped, minutes we don't have. There was one piece of correspondence in there, right? But that's the executive session correspondence?
No.
No, this is
Oh, no, right. Okay, so that is logged into the correspondence log. If that person,
Sarah has a hand.
Sarah, go ahead.
Hi, the person who submitted that correspondence requested it, contacted me personally and asked that we make sure it was read into the record as she requested with her submission, because she's not able to be here in person tonight.
it'll be
It will
linked in the
be
minutes.
publicly available and in the minutes.
Yeah, you don't have to read it
But
to
to
the
read a 2.5 page letter it would take a while to read that into the record. We don't typically read correspondence in, we just post it as correspondence. I assume the board has all read it. And, take into account this individual's viewpoint. Go ahead, Fiona.
I think this speaks to the way in which people feel heard. For a person to request it being read and having not heard, we don't respond to an email. Like what I've heard is that the board chair responds that we have received it and it will be added to the minutes, or right, but there's no receipt read, right? So there's no understanding from anyone on the board, Monica wrote this letter to us. No one has responded to her saying, yes, I've read your letter. So we could have not read her letter. She has no idea. And as someone who has written letters to the board in the past when I was not a member of the board, I have often felt as though what I have said is dismissed. And so I think we need to really think about, and I understand it's super late, and perhaps we could read it another time, but I do think it's really important for us to think about how we respond to correspondence as a way to ensure people feel heard.
Fair. I will save my comments for another time.
I think that's great. I just needed to say that.
Yep. Okay. So we do have some sort of we do have a correspondence policy for the board that we adopted a while ago, where we would no longer read them in, we would just acknowledge that we got them at the board meeting and put them in the public record. We can revisit that, although we would be reading for an hour sometimes.
Joe.
Yo, yes.
In the past, haven't we sort of come to like an agreement where, no, we're not gonna read it word for word, but we've at least provided the context and a summary of what was in the letter?
We have,
remember
we have done that, yeah, where, this person wrote in, this person, this correspondence from Monica Sullivan, she's writing in about the way the SU handled the cuts, and she's appealing to both the SU board and the WRED board to revisit the whole MTSS restructuring, and she's asking some specific questions, and
the specific questions aren't necessarily our ones that we can answer.
I was gonna say, I don't think we can answer those questions, but that's the gist of the correspondence.
That's at least acknowledging that we received it and an idea
Absolutely.
of the content.
Yeah, and it will be publicly available.
And because she is requesting things of us, and because the SU board is us, can we take those requests as I am a new SU board member? Do I need chair approval to bring this to the SU and say, these are the requests?
It was sent to them as well.
So what is the process if there are requests made? What can we do? What can I do as an SU board member to forward those requests to get answered?
Well, they've already been sent to the SU board.
Okay.
When she sent this to us, she sent it to them as well.
Mm-hmm.
So then it's up to that board to answer. As a board member, when the board meeting is on, you can raise these issues and say, are we gonna answer this?
Great.
Are we gonna answer these questions from this constituent?
Okay, so I can, during the correspondence part of the meeting, when do I do that?
I would just,
You can ask Rich beforehand.
ask
Would be
Rich
awesome.
beforehand and just ask the chair beforehand, like, hey, we got this, and she's looking for answers, are we gonna answer these, and see what happens. Okay,
Joe,
yeah.
Drew just pointed out to me that there is one other communication. I'm not sure how it didn't end up in there, to be honest, but I want to make sure that it was received as well. The WCEA sent an email to myself, Rich Warner, and Drew requesting that the reconsideration of the SU budget in light of the West River budget vote. So basically asking to look at the SU budget, which you've already voted to do so.
Okay.
But you should know what that is here. I'll get this added to the correspondence folder for the minutes. I'll send it to Meredith as well.
Okay.
I'm not sure why. I definitely saw it, so but marking is on red, so I'll see you again in the morning.
Okay.
Can I ask one other question?
Sure.
I know I'm belaboring things. So as part of Monica's letter was asking about information about how things are changed. MTS staff that is funded at the SU level, but who work in West River schools, the changes that they are experiencing and what impact that's going to have on students. So because they are funded by the SU, but they are physically working in the red schools, is it within our purview as red board members to ask questions about the staffing changes and the kid time? Like, are we able to ask those questions?
Yeah, if you guys have questions about how stuff is working, absolutely. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
in Monica's letter, she shared that the superintendent and the director of student services, the director of teacher learning have informed the special ed staff that they will be working with students 4 days a week for 30-minute sessions, regardless of whether that's what is in their IEP, and I'm curious about that.
No, it's the opposite. What we did is we were suggesting to people who are writing the IEPs that instead of having the number of minutes per day, that there was a number of minutes per week, which allowed more flexibility in how those were scheduled. So it could be 4 days, it could be 5 days, it could be depending on whatever the kid needs, but it allows there to be more flexibility in how those services were delivered to the students because of schedules and because of specials and because of everything else. We didn't want to cage in those things. We wanted to have more flexibility. It allows for special educators to potentially do stuff that is not one-on-one when the IEP doesn't require one-on-one, but based on schedule, sometimes that's how it happens. It's not efficient, and so because we're going away from the case management model, and those people will also be getting out case managing, we wanted them to have more flexibility with their time so they could do stuff in small groups instead.
And because they are case managing, how much time will case management take away from direct student services for those individuals?
It'll definitely take some time. I don't know off the top of my head. I mean, it's more of a Chad will be able to answer that question for me, but we did research with other SUs to look at case management numbers before we made the shift. And we are well within, lower even still than a lot of SUs around us with the actual number of case managers. And then number of cases per special educator who also provide service. So we felt like that was a pretty reasonable shift to make, which is why
Can you share that data with us?
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. We have the one financial.
Hey, Joe, just for the record, I didn't break the 10 o'clock hour, not once. Just put it out there.
All right, I'm looking for a motion. At 9:59, folks.
Well played.
Make a motion to approve pay order 7-1 for $305,850.21.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, all in favor of the motion to approve pay order 71, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions?
I don't understand how it works yet, so I'm not approving. I don't get it.
All right, motion carries. All right, we now need a motion to enter executive session. I'll do it. I make a motion to enter executive session to discuss a student matter under 1 VSA section 313A7.
Second.
All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right. All right, we're out of executive session, and I believe there's a motion.
I move that we do not approve the tuition request.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second it.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to deny the tuition request. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? And abstentions?
I abstain.
2 abstentions. Okay, the motion passes. Thank you very much. We did agree to meet on April 29th, that Wednesday at 6. So we'll do this all again then, and we'll pick up those policy things, maybe, and we'll have some budget discussions. One more, yes.
Can I make a motion, we adjourn at 10:07?
Yes. All in favor? Please say aye. Aye. Thank you for your patience, everybody.
Precedent.
Good night.
Everything's normal.